Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Lab Rats Entertainment Podcast. My name is Ezra, and I'm joined by Sawyer and Caleb.
Howdy.
We have a special announcement. Sawyer, do you want to do the honors?
Are we thinking about the same announcement here?
Yes. Yes.
Caleb is now an official lab rat.
That's right.
Yay! Woohoo!
Even though he
I'm
never
official,
actually
y'all.
worked in the lab. He's now a lab rat. Yeah,
That's right, yeah.
We need to have new blood in here because when
Yes.
Ezra graduates, we'll have to have backups.
I'm currently training him as the new host.
He's training him as his apprentice.
You heard it here first.
Lab Rats generation.
Gets employed. Oh, congratulations, you're now the host.
I get to keep my job. Yay.
It's like when Max Scoville took over for the Beyond.
That's a deep cut.
If you listen to IGN's PlayStation podcast since like 2012, you know what I'm talking
Took over Up at Noon, too.
That's right. And then, but that was like after Up at Noon became a shadow of its former self, so.
True.
Yeah.
Well, this episode's going to be a free-for-all because this week, as I think we might have mentioned in the Joker special, I don't really remember, we're not doing
Yes.
a big 1 hour discussion. We're just whatever comes to our
Yes.
mind about topics we want to talk about.
Yes, this is going to be the free-for-all 30th episode. Unfortunately, Ahmad could not be here for Caleb's first episode as an official lab rat. But next week, we will not have 4, but 5 people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Assuming all goes well.
Assuming that everybody is able to be here.
Yes.
we will.
That's going to be... I don't even know how I'm going to go about doing this. But,
So our
but it's
regular
gonna happen.
episodes will be still the Ezra, myself, and Ahmad, now plus Caleb as the
Yes.
main group, and then pretty much every other week
kind
we
of every
plan
week.
on having
A
guests
special guest, yes.
from the Bowling Green Film Department.
Or
Most of the
otherwise.
time. Or otherwise.
Or theater department.
Or theater.
Because-
Theater and film department.
Yeah, now Caleb
I
can
have-
just like invite theater people
Yeah.
on. And now I'm scared. So in any case,
Actually, that would be really cool because we would have some different topics to talk
Yeah.
about.
that's true.
So, yeah.
Theater is entertainment.
It is entertainment.
We are the entertainment.
There's a lot of entertainment we don't really talk about.
That's
on
true.
here.
Yep.
We don't talk about music really that often.
We talk a lot of like we like to think that we got away from the categories of the catecast, but we didn't really.
Yeah,
we just
really.
don't hinder ourselves.
Yes.
We just open it up so we can talk about whatever we want that is entertainment related.
Yes.
That way we don't dive into what happened in the news this week.
What did the president do? Let's talk about that. So with that, Caleb, as this is your first time on the Lab Rats as an official member, would you like to start us out with a topic, a news topic,
Will do.
or a topic?
So,
Kind of doesn't matter.
first thing before I start off, I want to get some clarification out because I did some research after our Joker review, and I had said in our review that one of the things that I really liked about the end. Oh shoot, are we doing spoilers?
You can just brief spoilers
Brief spoilers for Joker.
Yes.
for the next 5 minutes.
Yes, skip ahead. So, at the end of the film, one of the last shots of the climactic moment, before we go into this epilogue, we see Bruce's parents get killed again. And,
Again.
And Bruce is standing over them, and there's this visual of this alley, and then in the background you can see the rats, which are a big plot point in the film. And I was like, oh, this is a cool idea, because I'm like, I could have swore that every single shot of Bruce's parents dying had rats in the background. And I was like, oh, this is how they got that idea. And then I looked up every single Bruce Wayne's parents' death, including the animated shows, and not a single rat was there. And I was like,
Oh.
well,
That's how it happens.
Granted, it is Gotham. I wouldn't have been surprised. if
Right,
it were
yeah.
I think we all were thinking like, oh yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, as a podcast, we apologize for the fake news.
Also, this is not even a news show in the first place. I'm sure we've been wrong before and not
Yes.
realized it.
Yeah.
So
Take
take our words with a grain of salt.
So going into my actual topic, I have been thinking a lot about post-Joker and like a lot about Martin Scorsese's comments on Marvel is not cinema, which
Yeah.
is more referencing just towards comic book movies in general. And at first, and you can clearly tell in my Joker review, I was very not on board with those comments.
Yeah.
But I think that I've been thinking a lot about it this week, and I'm like, well, I don't think he's right. I don't think he's wrong either. And I think that a lot of it has to do with his phrasing. I think that some Marvel movies, you see it more so with Marvel movies than with DC. It's kind of weird that I'm saying that, but
I don't know if I necessarily agree. I think Justice League is kind of falls into the purview of
No, there's DC
what
movies.
Martin Scorsese
Yeah.
is talking about.
I agree with that. But
There's also less DC movies.
That's-
exist
that's
for
where
that
I'm
to
like-
count in.
but there's a lot of streamlined Marvel movies, and I'm not necessarily including like I think Endgame and Infinity War, Logan, Captain America: The Winter Soldier are all great films.
Yeah.
I think I would call them a film.
Well,
You know
the
what I
one
mean?
we're completely leaving out is Black Panther. Like
Yeah.
that is
Oh, and Black Panther
beyond
too.
even a comic book movie.
Yeah, and I think that there are Marvel movies, especially in the MCU, where they're just, I don't want to say filler, but they're a lot of fun at the time to watch them.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are forgettable unless you're watching them, and they don't have that much of an impact other than what it has to deal with in the larger story.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the problems with the MCU films. And I've been thinking a lot about post Endgame. And one of the major debates I've had with post Endgame is, do I still want to watch comic book movies? Because I think this is like the penultimate way you go, and there's no going further than that. And then I told myself, oh, I'm still always going to go see Spider-Man.
Yeah, like there's no way.
Yeah.
So Spider-Man has been always with me. You guys all know about my
Yeah,
feelings towards the Raimi movies, but and I was like, we'll see how we'll see how the Phase 4 goes, and the Phase 4 announcements were all intriguing to me. Where if Marvel puts effort into it, of like, I like their route of just not doing any. They're not really going sequel routes. They're going
Except for Doctor Strange.
and Doctor Strange, and that's about it.
It's the only sequel movie.
Right.
They did after the healing of the Sony divorce. The
Yeah.
Spider-Man 3
Yeah.
did get wedged into there.
Yeah,
But-
he's wedged into 2021, I think.
In fairness, though, with Spider-Man 3, they're going a different route than any other Marvel movie has gone before.
Yeah.
Presumably, they're
Yeah.
definitely going to be going on that topic of, spoilers, of his identity
Yeah.
getting revealed.
Which they've only really done in the comics, I think, with Civil War, as far as I know. But
So
Yeah.
I think that with Phase 4, I think that there's a lot of stuff different, but my main fear is we're going to get, it's just going to be streamlined. And I think to myself, I hope they do more. They make them have a purpose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think what I've liked, what I've seen from that so far in terms of them diversifying it, is with the Eternals, Black Panther 2 specifically, I don't even know what else, Doctor Strange, Shang-Chi, is they're creating these different movies, and Marvel, I think, realizes that they can't keep making superhero movie from now on. They have to make either like genre mix-ups, And so having Shang-Chi be like a martial arts movie and a superhero movie, Doctor Strange basically being a horror film and a superhero movie.
And you know what's interesting? The two films that I'm excited the most out of Phase 4, excluding Spider-Man 3, is Shang-Chi and The Eternals. Because it's brand new casts, and they're all diversified, and they're all different, and it's just like...
Yeah.
It's a fresh air. It's a bit of a fresh air, and, you know, I'm going to... My biggest fear, though, and this is where I talked about earlier... with you guys, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to bring this up. My biggest fear is you live long enough to see yourself go to crap, and you see just X-Men, the X-Men franchise, you know, saved after First Class, and then I would say Days of Future Past was, in my opinion, was a great ending to the series. This might bring. I can already see Ezra, but
so my thing is that I'm one of those rare breed of people who actually liked Apocalypse. I haven't seen Dark Phoenix yet.
Oh, and you do not want to watch Dark Phoenix. You just don't. I mean, I watched it and I liked the movie. I thought the movie was pretty good, and you know, for a beginning director, but for an X-Men film.
Yeah. It feels like a superhero movie that would have been made 10 years ago. Like,
yeah, it was
very average.
There was a battle across the street.
To a hotel.
And...
Before fighting on a train in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. So,
without giving like anything... 2000 superhero.
Yeah. Without giving anything more away, they do stuff like... You know, I like their idea of it, but again, they just completely wrecked the timeline. Yeah. And this time they go full bulldozer with it. And, you know, I like their ideas of like... I can't give it away if you're going to watch it, but like...
I do want to watch it at some point.
Yeah, you'll know what I'm talking about, and it has to do with Xavier. Okay. And I think that...
Wait, is Patrick Stewart in this movie?
No.
Oh man.
But
you said timeline and Xavier, and I was like,
no, that would be great. But
that would have been great. There's a lot of things that would need to be retconned. They have to retcon the retcons for the timeline to make sense.
And I think that
the timeline has never made sense Since X-Men Origins, the timeline has never made sense.
The fact that Wolverine's prequel, he looks older than he is in the in the
well,
original X-Men.
And you know, Patrick Stewart is saving the X-Men.
Right.
CGI Patrick Stewart.
Well, you know, and that's why I liked Days of Future Past, because it just reset everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, you still got like your, I would almost say like your 100th episode type of thing, where you like, have your old cast and your new cast all together in one movie, and it was a good wrap-up of all that. And then I would just go on to Deadpool, and then Logan, and then Logan would have been my final film. Going back, I would not have watched anything else but Logan. Would not have watched anything after Logan.
To me, what I would say is like Logan is to Days of Future Past what Spider-Man Far From Home is to Endgame.
Yeah.
It's like a good anecdote to the previous thing. Kind of like
makes sense.
Whereas, I think Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix are fine. I think they both get way too much crap for how they really are. They're not as good as Days of Future Past.
I agree.
But they're just not... They're not the worst superhero movies ever. If people honestly think that, go back to the 90s and you can find some really bad
Right. And I think that's part of the problem, because we see X-Men films like that, and then, you know, some Marvel movies. I'm particularly thinking of Ant-Man 2. And
Thor: The Dark World.
Thor: The Dark World, and then we have
Ant-Man 2 is better than Thor: The Dark World.
I think
let's not give Ant-Man 2 too bad.
Yeah. Well, they're in that category because of just how
average
they are, and
I would honestly throw Captain Marvel in there too.
In some ways,
I think that Marvel's maybe biggest lesson after Captain Marvel is that maybe it was fine for Captain Marvel,
Mhm.
but they can't just keep doing the same thing anymore.
I agree.
Like, I think that, like, that's the biggest takeaway from, like, the criticism that Captain Marvel
Mhm.
received was that it's just too much of the same thing we've seen before.
I think with, like, going back to Scorsese's comments,
Yeah.
I think, now, obviously, I don't think anyone would say that the people on this podcast don't like Marvel movies, because I think
Yeah.
we've demonstrated
We
that
do.
we like Marvel
Oh
movies.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think he has a point when he says they're like theme parks, where you go in for the spectacle and it's a lot of fun,
yeah.
but you're not necessarily thinking a ton about it afterwards. I do, personally, because I love
Yeah.
the canon and the stories,
Mhm.
but I think he has a point when he says they're spectacles and theme parks, because the crazy, oh, look at
Yeah.
all this stuff that's happening, and
Batman
it's
v
wacky,
Superman.
and, yeah,
Yeah.
like in terms of just look at the spectacle of it.
Yeah.
I think he's got a point for that, because a lot of these superhero movies are more focused on look at how much CGI we can throw onto it
Yeah.
rather than the story.
Justice
Because
League on that
I would
one.
say, as much as I love the MCU, I don't think there's personally a lot of those movies that can stand up against most of Scorsese's films.
Right.
In terms of filmmaking quality.
Yeah, I think so. I don't necessarily disagree with you inherently. I just think that
I agree.
Scorsese saying that these aren't cinema, these are theme parks, is like, and I like. I haven't seen a lot of his movies, but the ones I have seen, I liked. I
Me
didn't
too,
think
yeah.
they were. I didn't have necessarily an issue with them.
Mhm.
They're not necessarily my cup of tea, but that's neither here nor there. I don't think even somebody as prolific as Martin Scorsese gets to determine what is and isn't a movie.
I agree.
And I think that, like, regardless of the content of the movie, you can't deny that you went to a movie theater, sat in your seat, ate some popcorn, and
Yeah.
watched a big screen thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a movie.
Yeah, like-
That's cinema. That's the definition of cinema.
That's what
Yeah.
I disagree with him on, is saying they're not films and don't have filmmaking merits. I disagree on that.
Yeah,
too.
I think it's a lot of his phrasing
Yeah.
that and the reason why the quote was so blown up was because of how it was phrased.
Yeah.
I think that finding just like a synonym to cinema.
Or if he
But-
said, like, I don't think they're as important as people make it out to be.
Yeah.
I could see, I can sympathize with him on
I
that,
think,
at
and
least.
like, I think the thing that he's not necessarily addressing is films are going to be different for everybody. Scorsese's a great filmmaker. As a film major, I would say he's probably one of the most important in
Yeah.
film history.
I agree.
That being said, Marvel movies are made to access everybody. They're made so that everybody will enjoy them and have this
Mhm.
grand experience and
Yeah.
have fun. Scorsese's movies are not going to be that for everybody. It's a very
Yeah.
specific crowd that is going to go see his films. And I think he's forgetting that film is subjective and not everyone is going to enjoy the same thing. So
Yeah.
him saying, oh, these aren't as serious and don't have something to say about the human condition like my movies, oh, they're not real cinema if they don't have something to say that's super duper important. And I wouldn't say that. I do think that there's a place in film for saying something important,
Yeah.
but I don't think that every single film needs to say something important. Like,
Yeah.
one of my favorite comedies of all time is 22 Jump Street,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I don't think that film exactly says a whole lot of important stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, not every movie has to, and I
Yeah,
think he forgets
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Well.
Not to say that he hasn't earned respect. I mean, he is one of the most important filmmakers.
The reason he ever got asked this was because somebody thought it was an interesting, like he exists at a time when these Marvel movies are the biggest thing, and his movies are not necessarily always the biggest thing. Like,
I would say also it's starting to change because now with The Irishman coming out,
Yeah.
that's getting a lot of big buzz. So
Yeah.
I think, personally, I don't think he means harm to anything.
I don't
like,
think so either.
I think
Yeah.
he honestly is just trying, it was phrased badly.
Yeah.
But I would also like to hear him say it rather than reading the
Yeah.
quotes.
Yeah.
He's
But
probably tired of being on a press tour. Like,
Yeah.
but I think that he means a lot
He's
less.
probably just tired of talking about it. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he means a lot more well than Jodie Foster did when she had her comments.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was not
And
a fan of Jodie Foster.
And even James Cameron, I think James Cameron was just salty when he said
Yeah.
that.
James
I was
Cameron's
just like, I saw him say that, and I'm like, all right, dude.
What did James Cameron say again?
He was like, it wasn't quite as like not movies as Scorsese was, but it was something along those lines where it's just like, no, dude, you're obviously
I think
just like
with James Cameron, if I remember correctly, he slammed it more. Like
Yeah.
he didn't say that it wasn't cinema, but he was like, I can't remember
it was
without.
like they're bad for cinema or something.
Yeah.
Which,
Which
it
I do think he has a legit point with that, though. We're saying, like, I don't think they're bad for cinema, but people saying, oh, I only want to go see the blockbusters, and anything that's smaller or gets pushed out of the way.
Yeah. Well, but that existed before Marvel came around.
Right.
Like,
And
like
that's actually-
Transformers has been making
I would-
millions of dollars
Yeah.
before Iron Man was even conceived.
It's
I was just about to bring that up, actually.
Yeah.
was-
Marvel is just easy to take the shots at
Yeah.
because they're on top right now.
Yeah.
They're on top, and they made the best.
But the
films.
real persons that are like really on top are Disney, and we've seen
Yeah.
Disney have their formula for almost 100 years now.
Yeah.
Well, between the way they handled their Disney princess movies,
And therein lies the problem.
princesses.
Is
Sorry.
Disney using a formula.
Yes.
Because you look at Marvel, I think is good, but as much as I enjoy the current Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, they fit exactly into this established Marvel formula. They don't feel like Spider-Man movies as much as they feel like Marvel movies,
Yeah.
which is why I appreciate, for some of its flaws, the Raimi trilogy, because even though they have flaws, they feel like a Spider-Man
I agree.
movie. They're not in a formula. But my
I'm just gonna
issue-
keep my mouth shut.
And I'm also saying that, because I'm also thinking, and you might think otherwise, I'm thinking that without bias.
Yeah.
I'm definitely definitely see that they do more in that aspect.
It
and
has
there's
its
a lot
very
of,
own aesthetic
Yeah.
and idea.
yeah, and they're
I don't disagree.
now
with you on
now I will say they're formulaic within the three movies. They go through the same beats of like Mary Jane.
Mary Jane gets kidnapped.
Yeah, Mary Jane is exactly the same in all three movies.
I know it's
And we get
my major problem with those movies.
I think it really the formula is even past with Disney in terms of Marvel. Star Wars is having the same problem.
Star Wars is
And
definitely-
Although
The Last Jedi tried to break it, and that was the problem.
The Last Jedi got slammed for not being formulaic, so
Well,
it's
and-
kind of a lose-lose
I
situation.
will say though,
if you
at the
use it.
same time though, to bash on Last Jedi a little bit
Oh
more,
my goodness.
they were still formulaic.
Yeah,
They
like-
still had that whole Canto Bite sequence that was totally and not needed.
I'm with you there, Caleb. I'm with you there.
And
But I think the issue with The Last Jedi, I don't have to go too far into this. Like, they tried to break
Our
some of
yearly
the...
Last Jedi rant. Anyways.
They wanted to break some of the formulaic stuff in terms of Star Wars, in terms
Yeah.
of the ideas of the light and dark and stuff
Yeah.
like that. They broke that formula. They didn't break the formulaic movie making or the way Star Wars' tone is. They just broke the formula in terms of, oh, light and dark, this character has to do this. Like and what the Force does and does not do. They started to break that formula. But if you look at Marvel movies, the Marvel movies have broken their formula a little bit in terms of what can and cannot be done. It started off with just a guy in an iron suit, and now he's fighting a giant purple alien. Like, that formula has been broken, but the same core, like, comedic beat here, this guy has to come here, we'll introduce these characters. It's the same formula.
Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron is the most...
Yeah, Age of
definition.
Ultron is the single most formulaic Marvel movie of them all.
By definition.
I still like Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
Mostly
it's-
for James Spader. But I think that...
I like the first hour of Age of Ultron, like, more than the last.
don't know.
Honestly,
I
think its
like
first
the-
trailer is better than the entire
I
movie.
agree.
I don't disagree, but I like Sokovia. I like the fight in Sokovia. I think that gets too much flack.
Yeah. Like,
The Hawkeye speech is pretty
I
great.
Yeah.
should say that we don't hate Marvel movies. We
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
really love Marvel movies.
I'm way
but
too obsessed, and I have way too much Marvel
Yeah.
memorabilia.
I
just-
people need to address sometimes that these movies aren't flawless.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, they are a
Yeah.
good time, and I love these characters, but they aren't flawless.
And that's why I wanted to bring it up today. Like,
Yeah.
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 We've been talking too much about DC around these parts.
I do want to mention, I didn't even bring up this topic to you guys, so it's a bit of a surprise topic.
Oh, no.
But I just thought of this, and it kind of ties into celebrity comments about stuff.
Oh no.
Not Scorsese, but I don't know if you guys have heard about this.
I have.
There was a recent interview with Freddie Prinze Jr. who voiced
I
Kanan
heard about
Jarrus
this.
on Star Wars Rebels.
Yes.
Okay.
And he
But I didn't
had a
see anything about it. So.
an expletive-filled rant on some talk show about Star Wars and it being for kids and how he knows better about Star Wars because Dave Filoni, who was taught by George Lucas, told him how it is, or something like this.
What does that even mean?
He said, and I'm trying to remember all of it because it went on for a couple minutes.
What am I supposed to glean from this?
And part of it was, I think, him saying that that Star Wars fans don't truly understand how it is, or that there is no gray Jedi, that don't try to canonize it because it doesn't make any sense because Dave Filoni told me it's not, even though he created the Ahsoka, who is literally straight up a gray Jedi right now. Also saying that the only reason people don't like The Force Awakens is because they didn't like how Han Solo gave the Falcon to a girl, or something like this. It's like, it was kind of the same thing of...
Really?
Like, I'm paraphrasing here, so I'm not saying this is 100% what he's saying, but it was basically him just ranting about the Star Wars fan community for a good couple minutes, and then ending with, like, how could you think Star Wars is not for kids? And then I flash back to Revenge of the Sith and seeing Anakin slaughter kids. I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, Rogue One, very kid-friendly.
Yeah. It's...
So
I wanted to see what your guys' thoughts on...
Well, here's the thing. I agree with some comments, and I disagree a lot with other comments.
I will say, I think part of it is him... If you're anyone who works in Star Wars right now, you gotta be frustrated because everybody is just letting you have it on Twitter, Instagram, and they're constantly under scrutiny. And so eventually you're gonna blow up because you're gonna be sick and tired of hearing all this garbage.
Right. He's my favorite character in Rebels.
Mine too. Yeah.
And, to come out at the end of the season and his name is Caleb, I was yes, it was great. I was like, this is
Caleb and Ezra.
Hey!
Yeah, Caleb. Oh my gosh,
I didn't even realize that.
I never even
The master. Wait, Kanan is the Jedi, right?
Kanan's real name, Kanan Jarrus, ends up being actually named Caleb.
Caleb.
Yes,
Doom.
but he's the
Jedi.
He's the Jedi.
Yeah.
So the master has become the student.
Hey.
Oh,
I didn't
because
realize
of yeah.
Anyways.
Yes, the podcast.
I think
I was like, no.
like similar to the Scorsese thing, I don't think Freddie Prinze Jr. is saying like, "Oh yeah, I hate the Star Wars fan community."
Yeah.
He's probably just frustrated, and as I would be too, because he's gonna hear this garbage 24/7.
So my thing is like, what you're paraphrasing to me just sounds like it sounds like somebody who's frustrated and somebody who is like he's trying to it sounds to me like he's just trying to take it to his bosses on a talk show ultimately that's what it feels like, and I'm just like, all right, you do you, man. I don't really care if a voice actor wants to talk about his character, then I think that there's some real insight into that. But in terms of what they think of the franchise as a whole, I don't really want to hear I don't want to hear Jonathan Frakes complaining about the current state of Star Trek. I want him to. I just want to hear him talk about Riker, stuff. It's stuff like that. That's
the thing with I think Freddie Prinze Jr. on this is that his whole comments is like, "Don't blame me. This is what Dave Filoni told me." I was like, "Well, Dave Filoni, everything he said has contradicted what you're saying right now."
Yeah, and Dave Filoni does not have as much control as we want him to.
He
have.
should,
He
but
should.
he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
But that's the only reason why I'm more excited for The Mandalorian than The Rise of Skywalker.
Man, I just can't wait for Lucasfilm to get
More
off
on
of
that
damage
later.
control, because Lucasfilm has been on damage control for more than 2 years at this point.
Yeah.
There's nothing in Star Wars that can seem to go right now. Resistance is getting bad reviews. Jedi Fallen Order, the demos were not impressing people. Battlefront 2 still has a bad taste in some people's mouths.
Yeah.
It is $6 on the PlayStation Store.
Rise of Skywalker's got its potential issues.
Yeah.
The Last Jedi people still hate.
People are still like, that movie was trash.
I'm not. I dog on The Last Jedi a lot, but I don't mind it.
Yeah, like it's
I love
it's
The Last
fine.
Jedi.
I certainly have my issues with it, but it's not the worst movie
Yes.
ever made.
We've talked about this movie.
Yeah.
enough.
I-
You could go back to previous
Yeah.
episodes to hear our thoughts
I
on The Last
I can't
Jedi.
wait for Star Wars to get off of Damage Control.
Yes.
And this interview, whether he means well or not, is not helping Disney's case.
No.
But to be fair though, with Freddie Prinze Jr. for a second, you know, I also appreciate an actor's honesty.
Me
Sometimes.
too. I'm glad
Because
you
it's
got
like
something
I
out
get
of
so
it.
tired of like, you know, watching interviews and they're like, "Oh, this movie's going to be great," and then like
yeah.
the
And then it's
movie
not.
comes out
Yeah.
and it's not that very good, and then
Yeah.
the actor will be like, "Oh yeah, it wasn't actually that good,"
Yeah.
and it's just like,
That's what I think of is interesting about Gemini Man recently.
yeah,
Is that like I watched Will Smith was on Stephen Colbert a couple nights ago or something
Mhm.
like that, and Colbert was talking about how he watched the movie and he was actually really impressed by the tech. Like he didn't talk about too much like the storyline, but he
Mhm.
talked about how like the 4K 120 stuff made it really feel immersive.
Mhm.
And Will Smith was sort of praising everything and
Mhm.
was talking about Ang Lee and stuff like that. And I thought that was interesting in light of the reviews that have come out saying that like it's perfectly passable. It's not really that impressive of a film. Like nobody's really singing its praises. It's like movie of the year kind of thing.
But the tech
it's
is good.
Yeah, but the tech is cool. Only showing in 29 theaters.
I know.
It's showing in every theater in the U.S., but only 29 of them can actually screen it, and it's like even screen it at 60 FPS.
yeah,
When it was shot at 120, I don't even know if humans can perceive 120 FPS, but that's a whole.
I think
other-
it's-
yeah,
It's interesting with Gemini Man, that just a fun fact, that they actually, from what I've heard, weren't able to get the license to use the de-aging tech that like the Marvel movies and Star Wars have
Right.
used.
Ah.
So really, I believe it's performance capture they used and not de-aging tech.
Well, what Will Smith was saying that young him is like a digital person. Like it's not
Mhm.
like he's not even actually there,
Yeah. Well, they've
which is interesting.
they had Will Smith like
Yeah.
on set
Probably,
doing the role, but they ended up basically painting over him.
Yeah,
Thing.
which he looks in the trailers. He looks really good.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to this.
Interesting that most of the scenes with him without sunglasses and a hat and everything else are all in dark. Interesting how they did
Interesting,
that.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that, Sawyer, was that your topic?
I,
that
just
a topic?
I just wanted to tie it in with Scorsese.
Yeah. Well, then what's your topic
Alright.
for this round of topics?
First one I think I'll bring up is I'll go with Quantum Break.
All right.
Give us
Okay.
a change place.
Came out in 2015.
Probably.
It was like
It was one of the Xbox One launch titles.
Was it a launch
Launch
title?
window, I think. Launch window. 'cause
Well, then that
it
would have
wasn't-
been like 2013, 2014.
I think it was 2014. not
Okay.
15.
Okay. In any case, demos
But-
looked really cool.
yeah.
I don't have an Xbox One, so I couldn't play
So
it. but-
this is a follow up to, I believe this was either 2 or 3 weeks ago when I talked about Alan Wake. I've been wanting to talk about this game for a while, but I have to keep delaying my
Yes.
conversation on it.
Unfortunately, we had an hour-long Joker special you should go and listen to.
But the game is, I think it gets a little too much flack.
Okay.
It's a good game. It's a narrative-focused, I guess, adventure, but it's also a third-person shooter. It's very similar to Alan Wake in terms of gameplay and style.
Okay.
I think the only real, if we're starting with technical stuff first, I did have a couple glitches on Xbox One
Oh, really?
playing it.
Okay.
My big issue was there was one big action sequence. So, okay, I should probably start with the story. In Quantum Break, the idea is you play as Jack Joyce, who is played in the game motion capture and voiced by Sean Ashmore. And his-
Iceman.
Correct.
Oh, okay, thank you.
And his brother is played by Dominic Monaghan, who was either Merry or Pippin, I can't remember which one, in Lord of the Rings. I can't remember if he was Merry or Pippin, but One of them. He was one of
it
the.
was Pippin.
He was one of the. He was one of the hobbits
who
that
you're
was
talking
not
about,
Samwise or Frodo. But
One of the other hobbits.
What about second prefix? I can't. I messed up.
well, he his brother basically creates a time machine along with their friend who I can't remember the name of for some reason. Paul Serene. That's what it was. And time essentially breaks, and if they don't fix it by a certain point, time is going to permanently be neither happening nor not happening. It's just going to be in this permanent limbo paradox,
Interesting.
which is bad.
That sounds pretty bad.
Yeah.
And so, essentially, he has time powers. But that was one of my first complaints in the story, is the time powers, even though they're fun to play with, aren't unique. Like, there's nothing about it that really makes it time.
Yeah.
It's like, time shield, time dash, time... Like, none of
Yeah.
that really has to do with time.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like unique gameplay wise. It looks like when I watched it, it looked like unique visuals for old gameplay mechanics. Because like you're freezing characters in time and then shooting them into like a time bubble, and then you unfreeze them and they get shot. And
Like, the gameplay is fun, it's just the originality in the story does not translate with the gameplay.
Okay.
The story is original, and I liked the characters, but the gameplay is very standard. But I will say it makes up for it in the story, because it is weird and confusing and just pure time travel in terms of, well, the time machine broke, so you ended up going back 20 years instead of 10, and then this and that. There's a bunch of generic...
That's funny.
It's funny. It's generic in terms of, like, oh, the time machine went wrong, but it's also
Yeah.
kind of original in terms of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
The other piece of originality in it is the live-action TV show.
Oh yeah.
So
This is,
Quantum Break had an episode pack where, so the main game you play is your hero Jack Choice.
Yeah.
The TV show is told from the perspective of the villains
Oh.
in live action.
Interesting.
So you finish, it's in like 5 different acts. After you finish one act of gameplay, you get a 20-minute episode of the show. You can skip the episodes if you want to. You just download them for free off the Xbox store.
Oh, okay.
But I watched them. It adds some cool context to the characters in the game, but it's really, you don't need the show to understand the game, but you need the game to understand the show.
Oh, okay.
Without the game, the show is going to
Yeah.
make no sense.
Well, you know, it's... I like the idea of it, you know, of having, like, a
Yeah.
live-action show, like, intertwine with the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think, though, that's where you get into some difficulty. And I like the idea of them just doing the villains, but, like... Now, I haven't played the game, so I can't give an honest, like, look into this, but if this live-action version shows up in the game, it's going to feel off-putting. You know what I mean? Because you're so used to the live
the
action
models. And
yeah,
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you said it came out in 2015, correct? So
2014, I think.
Oh, 2014.
Well, it was either 2014 or 15.
Yeah,
it was like mid-year 2014.
Well, the further in the past enhances my point.
Yeah.
Is like, you know, graphics. Well, we love to, you know, look at the, you know, praise it.
Yeah.
They're still nowhere near
Actual humans.
I will say,
up until I would say more towards the turn of the console generation.
Yeah.
yeah.
But we'll talk about that
We'll talk
later.
about that later. I think after having played it, to answer your points there, it was jarring at first, going from the first act to the first episode. However, graphically, I still think this game holds up.
Okay.
It looks really good. And I'll get into the technical issues I had in a second. But I think overall it's worth playing. The other cool thing is the junction points. So after you finish an act, but before you get into the first episode, you play as Paul Serene for like 5 minutes, who's the main bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a junction point where you make a decision. And it shows you, like, if I make this decision, because he was in the future, so he already knows what's going to happen. And he says, if I make this decision, this timeline will start. And it kind of says, these events will happen, but there's this bad thing will happen. Or you can see this timeline, make this decision. And whatever decision you end up making alters the timeline for going forward in the game.
Interesting.
So, there's
How
also...
much does that affect?
I've
story?
only done, from what I've seen, it's mostly just, it's not as much of an effect of like, this character will die instead of this one, or this character will no longer appear in the game or something like that. It's not like it wildly changes the story, because
Okay.
I think the point was to say that time, even though you can make these little differences, is still going to end up with the same result.
Yeah.
Time is still going to want how...
Yeah, I did have a question. Just going back to the TV to game stuff.
Yeah.
How long is like the first act of the game, or like between acts and episodes? How long is that?
And how can you tell between each act?
Okay.
Yeah.
Each act roughly is, I mean, in the gameplay, it depends. It's usually, for me, it was about 2 hours, probably.
Okay.
Okay.
Of
So
gameplay.
like
A Kingdom
It's-
Hearts world.
so it's like 5 hours. So it's like 5 hours of
The game is about 10 hours long, in terms of gameplay.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, it's
Yeah.
about 10 hours long in game time. Add on about 2 hours of TV,
Yeah.
somewhere around there, and then yeah. So you spit out about a 12-hour experience overall
And-
with just one playthrough.
Right.
Yeah.
Given that there are other times.
Because, like, I didn't... and there is kind of like, if you go into the menu, they have, like, a time stream thing where you
Mhm.
can see what decisions you would make and how it would have affected once you play through it.
Yeah.
I think, really, my main issue with... And before I get into that, I thought it was interesting with the... during the gameplay... So there's, like, hidden things called quantum ripples, where, like, for example, in the beginning, I'll do one from the beginning so it's not much of a spoiler. When you're with your brother, he'll, like, see the board, like a whiteboard in the lab, and the equation's not finished for some kind of time machine. And so he'll say, like, oh, I need to finish this, maybe they won't make this mistake next time. And so when you get into the TV show, there's 2 people who work for the lab saying, hey, did you see somebody finished our equation? So, like,
Oh, that's cool.
the decisions you make in the game will
Uh-huh.
affect the show. Maybe it'll be like a 30-second scene, but it does. affect.
That's cool.
That is cool.
And this is kind of sub idea. I know you wanted to say something, so I'm going to leave that up to. Okay.
I didn't have
So-
anything to say.
Do we want? Would this be something that you would like to see for other type of games with like
With the TV
with
stuff?
more content? Yeah, I would say more content in just the gameplay and
I
the
would
TV.
say they'd have to
but-
be careful because this is made
Yeah.
by Remedy, and I should specify this game is also made by the people who I talked about who made Alan Wake previously on a
And-
previous
and
episode,
the
in a
most-
game I loved. So it's I would say if anyone was going to do another live action one, I'd be okay with Remedy doing that. Like if they made an
Yeah.
Alan Wake 2, I would be completely okay with another Alan Wake
Yeah.
game having a TV component.
Now, my other thing is, would you like to see this with within the larger within like maybe
The
Star
Alan Wake
Wars
universe.
or Marvel?
So like,
Uh,
so you're asking about like when the Revenge of the Sith game came out, and they had the live action
Well,
like CG
More of like
in
the
in
Force
the game.
Unleashed kind of thing. More like the Force Unleashed
Okay,
kind of
so
thing.
like if they released a Force Unleashed.
Oh, I should
Reboot.
specify
Actually,
these videos are not the cutscenes for the game.
right.
The game still has cutscenes, but
Yeah.
these
But
are
there's like a
separate,
TV
yeah.
show.
I just
there's
wanted
like
to
a TV
specify
show.
that
Oh,
for
yes.
people at home. So, like,
Yeah.
it's not live action like full motion video cutscenes.
I
It's
think-
a separate.
I
thing.
think that I'm kind of the game's purist,
Mm-hmm.
where like I want my games to be games and I want my TV shows to be TV shows, and I don't necessarily mind them intermingling every once in a while.
Right.
I think that the idea for Quantum Break is actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I think that games are so unique of an idea, and we've already started to see an encroachment on that sort of player agency experience with the Netflix choose your own adventure stuff.
Yeah.
That's like I don't want that to go any further. So if,
Me too.
Like if sacrificing neat ideas like Quantum Break means that I get to keep things like Astral Chain
Yeah.
and Nier Automata, for instance, games I don't think would work
without
in
that
any
medium.
in any other medium. Not that I'm saying I don't want an Astral Chain anime, but you know, I think But I think it's a cool idea. I'm not necessarily against it wholeheartedly. I think people have to be intentional about it.
It was a cool experiment, but
Yeah.
like I don't think, unless there was a Quantum Break 2, I don't think there needs to be another game like this.
Yeah.
I really also want. Did you have something that you wanted?
No,
to
no,
say?
no, no.
Okay.
That's it.
Really, all I wanted to mention left on Quantum Break was the technical side of things.
Okay.
Story was interesting. It's not the most original, but I'd say if you have an Xbox One or you have PC, it's worth a quick playthrough because I think it's on both.
Yeah.
The technical issues, I had a couple. So I think the game is very beautiful. I think the
Yeah.
motion capture, performance capture is great. I think the world design, it's basically just meant to be the real world,
Yeah.
and it looks really good.
Yeah, what I
Um,
saw of it looked really pretty.
The technical issues I had, so there's like a shimmer effect when time stops. So like go be playing gameplay, and obviously since you have time powers, it doesn't affect you. But things around you will just stop. And
Interesting.
so like the bad guys can't move, cars will stop as they're driving, and these shimmers kind of affect it by, it looks like a shimmer, but things will not move as they're supposed to. So like there's a sequence where I had the biggest technical hiccups where when this boat crashes into a bridge that hasn't gone up, and it kind of like jumps forward and moves back a little bit, and it jumps keep forward, like the shimmer is not working. The physics and time isn't
Gotta
working.
love it.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to do that because the time didn't work.
Yeah.
But there's this big crash, and
Yeah.
he comes falling, and once you get back into gameplay after this, the broken road of that bridge was no longer there, so I was essentially walking on thin air, and I couldn't tell where the path was, and you couldn't jump, so I had to essentially restart the game because the geometry wasn't loading in.
no.
Oh, yeah,
not
it was
the whole
having
game
an
from the
issue
beginning,
with
but I
loading.
had to close the app and then relaunch
Oh,
it. Yeah.
okay.
I didn't have to restart the
That's-
whole
I
game.
was like-
but,
Yeah. But that's an annoying thing to have to go through, though.
Mhm.
Yeah.
like that was the biggest issue I had, was just the geometry not loading, and I couldn't, like, I tried to guess it, but I didn't know where I was moving, and there was a lot of
Yeah.
hazards going off, so I had no idea where I was gonna fall and where I wasn't.
Right.
That's, to me, that sounds as I will put on my armchair game developer hat for a second and just say that I think that that's probably more of an issue of, like, this is the first time they'd ever done something like that,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and their engine, like, what you're talking about actually sounds like something that they would have probably refined in a game like Control, where
Yeah.
it, like,
Which they have, because it's made by the same developer.
yeah, and Control looks super, like, when I watch footage of that game, it looks like super optimized, and I think that Quantum Break probably just suffers from, like, they were trying to do some really unique stuff with the environment,
Yeah.
but Remedy had figured out how to super optimize it the way
Mhm.
they now have with
Yeah.
Control.
I think it's definitely worth a playthrough if you have an Xbox One. It's people always say, "Oh, the Xbox One doesn't have any exclusives." This is a great one that nobody played.
And, yeah, it's just because it wasn't the exclusive they wanted.
yeah. It's I mean,
Where's my Halo
where's-
20?
My yearly Halo game.
I wish there was a yearly Halo game. We haven't gotten a Halo game since 2015. I want another Halo
Yeah,
game.
Is
because
it really been that
343
long?
wants to
Halo
take time.
Halo 5 was 2015, and Halo
No, it
Infinite
wasn't-
doesn't come out till next year.
343
Wasn't
is
there was like
Well, there was Halo Wars, but if you're talking about like a mainline,
a
game,
mainline.
yeah.
Okay, I was.
It's
I was
because
gonna say,
Halo
I thought-
it's just because 343 wants to think of themselves like Rockstar.
Well, it's because Halo 5 was
yeah.
a disaster, but that's the
That's
topic
true.
for another time.
It was,
Anyway.
yeah.
Long story short, if you're a PC gamer or you have an Xbox One, play it. If you don't have an Xbox One, maybe wait until the next Xbox, because I guarantee it's going to be backwards compatible. Just play it on there.
We should have a Halo special. It'd be
And
funny.
I've
Yeah.
never played
We should.
I've played Halo before, but I haven't like played.
You and I should have a Halo special like Halo. We need to have that.
maybe it's just
I'll
like
I'll have a list of questions.
maybe it's like, you know, kind of like how you guys thought about like doing with the Star Wars movies,
Yeah.
and just maybe we
Play
all got
through every
together
game.
and we just like played through maybe
Yeah,
like,
'cause
Talk
there's
about
co-op.
an endeavor.
Yeah.
yeah.
But the
You guys could watch Ahmad and I go through it
Yeah.
for the first time.
I think it'd be. I should also clarify for this. I'm doing a Remedy developers like playthrough of their entire catalog. So
Are you gonna play Control next?
I'm gonna play Control next. I'm gonna get it on my PlayStation 4, and I don't have my PS4 here yet. I have to go home and bring it to school. So
Next week.
I will be playing Control as soon as possible. That'll be the next one on the list. It's supposedly in the same universe as Alan Wake, and you knew how much I loved Alan Wake, which is another game you should all play because it's amazing.
Mhm.
But I have
we're
played the original Max Payne. I have not played Max Payne 2. Can't really play that here because I'm not going to bring my PS2. But I will play. I'll play Max Payne as soon as I can.
Yes.
But yeah, Control. Look forward to a Control review as soon as possible.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I've been interested in that game.
Mhm.
So now it is my turn, and I
Mhm.
kind of want to read the room. Do we want to go? Because we haven't really gone negative yet. We talked a little bit about Scorsese, but we weren't like, we weren't
Yeah.
down in the dumps.
What are we going to
Do we
rip
want
into
to? Do we
now?
want to go negative, or do we want to go positive?
I think I'm on board for
Do
negative.
you,
Me
do
too.
you
Yeah.
okay?
I want to
alright.
rant about something.
Yeah,
Give me
alright,
something to
let's-
yell at.
All right, we have lots of things to yell at this week. If you have been paying attention,
I know what this is now.
Yes, if you have been paying attention to the NBA, you may have heard about a certain manager is for the Houston Rockets, right? Am I wrong about that? I don't
know.
follow sports.
Let me go check.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's the Houston Rockets.
We're trying to diversify
yes.
our topics.
Well, and this relates. I'm trying to sort of thread the line
Especially
here
the
a
next
little
one
bit.
will be that.
Yeah. This manager for an NBA team, I think it's the Houston Rockets, basically tweeted out in support of the Hong Kong protests in China. If you want information about those protests, I'm not qualified to give it to you.
None of us are.
None of us
qualified
are.
for it.
Go watch a news show or something. They can give you a much better summary.
That's
of
probably the
of
most lab rat's comment is go watch an actual news show.
Go watch an actual news show. And
Honestly, if you're coming to us for world policies and news, yeah, it's probably not.
it's probably not a good idea.
Especially
Sports-
30 episodes in.
Sports news too on top
Yes,
of that.
especially sports news.
Everybody knows this is the nerdiest show on campus. And, this is...
True facts. So
It was the Houston Rockets general manager
I'm so excited that
Daryl
I got that right.
Daryl Morey.
Daryl Morey tweeted out in support of the Hong Kong protests. Now you would think, as an American with privileges of free speech and the like, you would think that this is totally benign, harmless political speech.
Just saying, hey, let's not, take away human rights in China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go
Seems like
Hong
a-
Kong protesters.
Seems like a reasonable
yeah
thing.
Yeah, it seems like something you would support. China was not having this, and China, they have their feet in every lake of the U.S. That's not a sign. They have their fingers.
Does not
They
make
have their
sense.
fingers in everything here.
Yeah.
And Tencent is sort of the they're shareholders in every company ever, and.
What was-
I almost clicked on a video.
Okay. Anyway.
In any case, so China was not having this, and the NBA gets a lot of viewership in China.
Which I had no idea.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I thought that China had basically
Yeah.
just closed its doors
It
to
says-
U.S. media. But I
From
was
CNN, it says China makes up at least 10% of the league's current revenue.
which is a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
And it's predicted by 2030 it'll be up to 20%.
Wow. Yeah, that's a pretty big chunk. And so, Daryl Morey is in danger. As a result of this, Daryl Morey is in danger of being fired. Multiple NBA players have come out in support of China. And I don't know if that's true. Is that true? I might be wrong. I might have just heard that.
Let me see if I can find him in this article.
But I know people in the NBA have come out and been we at least don't support Hong Kong, which I find ridiculous, but that's the world we live in.
It should be addressed that the reason a lot of these companies, and we'll get to another company involved in this later, is that as we said with 10% of NBA viewership being in China,
Yeah.
China has a lot of people.
They do.
A lot of people. And those people like to buy stuff.
Yes. And those people listen to their government,
Yeah.
which is telling them that Hong Kong is BS or
So,
whatever they're saying.
When a company is like, should we support this city that, even though there have been Chinese protests in the past that didn't go anywhere,
Yeah.
should we support them or should we support this overall nation with millions of people, or should I say millions of potential customers?
Yes, and that therein lies the problem for the NBA right now, is that they are not to get too much into the weeds of U.S. politics, but both sides of the aisle have basically come into support of Daryl Morey, basically saying like, look, China shouldn't be allowed to stranglehold our
China
speech.
should not be controlling our speech or our companies.
Yeah.
I do not want American companies bowing to China.
I agree.
Especially not the Chinese government.
Yeah.
If it's just a random company in China, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's literally the Chinese government told Tencent to tell the NBA to do this, and it's like this is not good.
It's. I think we should address it mostly as a issue with the NBA, and I think
yes,
because we have no control over Chinese politics. We're just a couple of American dudes talking about movies. But it's. I think. You want to address the other company?
And so to continue the story a little bit, because this is not the reason I bring this up is not in fact because I'm an NBA fan, because I don't watch the NBA. I think that the way I was introduced to this story was through I forget his name, a Hearthstone player.
I believe his username was Blitzchung.
Yeah,
I don't know
Blitzchung.
his real name.
Yeah.
That's like peaked 2019 is that we know him as Blitzchung, but not his real name.
I know I've read his name at some point, but I don't remember it. He was on stream for a Hearthstone tournament. He's a pretty sort of big grandmaster pro player, makes money off of this game.
Hearthstone, for those of you who don't know, is a digital card game made by Blizzard.
I talked about it a couple of weeks ago. Go listen to that episode.
Yeah, go listen to it.
Don't support Hearthstone, but go listen to that episode. So he went on stream. I think he's from Hong Kong. I think like Hong Kong is his homeland or something. Yeah.
I think I've heard from that because I think he is a Hong Kong citizen.
Yeah. And he went on stream wearing a gas mask and a shirt that I don't remember the exact phrasing, but it was in support of Hong Kong. Like he said on
Liberate
stream,
Hong Kong or something like that.
liberate Hong Kong, the revolution is now, something like that. And Blizzard, in response, fired the two casters who
had nothing to do with it.
Who were just like on stream giggling because they didn't know what to do about
this. They did duck behind their laptops. They're like, nope, I'm not part of this.
So Blizzard fired those two casters, which is like jerk move. Yeah. And then banned Blitzchung for a year from Hearthstone tournaments and withheld prize money. And
that's not right.
The reason I came across this was I was on the Shadowverse Reddit, and a Hearthstone player had come over from the Hearthstone Reddit and been like, "All right, screw Hearthstone. Where do I start in this game?" And so I went over to the Hearthstone Reddit. That place was on fire.
It reminds me of that you know that episode of SpongeBob
and the brain. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought of too.
It's like I was like reading and like every other post is like, I'm quitting Hearthstone. I quit my WoW subscription. I spent hundreds of dollars
similar to
on
how
Hearthstone.
I saw it on Twitter. It was It was just boycott.
I was just about to start StarCraft, and now I'm probably not going to.
No, yeah, I've been thinking about buying Overwatch for like 3 weeks, and now I'm like, I guess not.
Oh, that's bad timing because I just realized that you mentioned that about
Isn't there a DLC
Overwatch
coming?
Characters and Smash Brothers.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
This is some bad timing.
No, this is really bad timing.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh no. Tracer's gonna get announced for the 5th character, now And now what's gonna happen?
I'm gonna see. What is it? Who is it?
We're bringing in Sora, folks.
Sora, it's just so they made Tracer, but they're just gonna model Sora over her. So he's gonna do all.
They
of
could
the
do
same
Aqua
thing.
if they wanted to.
It's still not
Yeah.
gonna work.
They'll just model like Lara Croft over her or
Yeah,
something.
exactly.
Like,
Oh no! You just made me so stressed out. In any case, so the Hearthstone Reddit is on fire. Blizzard shut down the Blizzard Reddit, like that thing, or for a short time. I think it's still up.
It's back up now. I
But
think. That and they for the first time ever. I'm not sure. It was like some post they made on a Blizzard forum. They deactivated comments, which is like the first time Blizzard's ever
which
done
is
that.
insane.
It's like no,
Yeah,
this is bad.
And then one of the best parts of this story was that Blizzard, outside of its headquarters,
Mhm.
has signs, has like posts that say like, or plaques, excuse me.
It's like the Blizzard
Get
values.
my terminology right. And one of them is like, Caleb, as acting fact checker, you could look
Yeah.
this up.
Yeah.
It's like they say messages about like freedom of speech
Yeah.
and world and like the community matters or something.
You
And
talking
stuff like
about
that.
Blizzard?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's like
let
the
me see.
Blizzard headquarters.
Yeah,
and
and
it's,
some employee covered it up.
and I know of at least two things that were covered up by Blizzard employees,
Yeah.
which tells me that Blizzard employees are not happy.
No, like that's why
Oh,
I'm
no.
basically saying.
There's been walkouts and
Yeah.
all that type
Yeah,
of
that's
stuff.
why I'm saying overall, it's not the Blizzard developers. Like, if there's the developer of Overwatch or Hearthstone or something, don't go attacking them because it's not their fault.
Yeah.
People who are attacking them on Twitter, that's not them who's making these decisions.
That was the CEO of Activision Blizzard called whoever runs the Hearthstone tournaments and told them like, you're banning them and withholding prize money
Yeah.
right now or you're fired. Like that
Yeah.
that was the
It's
The
a
end
really
of the
sticky
conversation.
situation, and
Yeah.
I think people aren't also realizing this, that Blizzard also has Diablo Immortal, which is another hot topic going on
that
right
was
now.
a disastrous
That's in development, and I believe a Chinese company is co-developing it with Blizzard.
nice.
So
Nice. Yeah,
it's,
so China's really or Chinese companies are really sort of in
Yeah.
the weeds on
like
this.
I don't blame the Chinese because they have no issue with this.
No.
It's the Chinese companies basically being controlled by the Chinese government.
Yeah, it's an issue of corruption in China. More, I don't really have an issue with like Tencent with these other Chinese companies. Like I don't really care. I'm about as free trade as anybody gets. But like, the Chinese government controlling how video game players get to like express themselves while they're playing a video game does not like irks me to no
And
end.
it's not even just China and them controlling it, because you have Google who's arguably controlling it. Twitch has been controlling stuff.
Yeah.
YouTube's controlling stuff.
Yeah, like it's getting really messy, and you know, part of it is that we just haven't quite adapted to rights on digital platforms. Like we're not.
kind of still in the Wild West right
Yeah,
now.
we haven't adapted to this new way of communicating and figuring.
It's-
That's a more philosophical
So-
topic, but
Blizzard has had so many issues recently.
Yeah.
I feel bad for them. 'Cause-
I'm surprised they still have as much. They still had as much support as they did
Well,
going
'cause
into this new.
There's this. There was the Diablo Immortal issue. There's no new games on the horizon
Yeah.
for them.
Well, it isn't. Who controls Blizzard? Is it
Activision.
Blizzard?
Well,
Activision
I think
controls
it's-
Blizzard,
It-
or does
they're
Blizzard
they're
control
they're a
Activision?
partner company. It's Activision Blizzard. Like
Right.
they're a partner company.
So my question is, with the verge of Modern Warfare about to come
Oh,
out
yeah.
within a week or two, how is that going to affect sales?
That's gonna affect it, I think.
It's
It's not gonna affect it on console,
Yeah.
but it'll affect it on PC. 'Cause
Yeah.
people aren't
And-
gonna want to buy it on BattleNet.
And from the
Oh, yeah.
from
people are like boycotting anything to do with Blizzard
Mhm.
at all as a result of this one
Not Activision though, but
player.
Activision's not getting
Yeah.
it.
Activision's not getting targeted by name. No,
but
Yet.
maybe they should, but
Yeah.
no.
C-
They are.
and from CBS, their stock went down 4%
Yeah.
I'm not
in
surprised.
this
Oh.
week.
If you, I should also brief shout out on here too. people who might know a lot more about this. Shouldn't say might. Who definitely know a lot more about this than we do.
Yeah.
The YouTube channel Inside Gaming. I go to them. They have daily
Yeah.
YouTube videos on gaming news. I go to them for all my gaming news. On YouTube, they did 2 videos on the situation. I believe the night before we're recording this.
Yeah.
And the day before that. Just look up like China Inside Gaming and whatever the most recent ones are. They go into great detail about it and as to all this stuff. So I would definitely recommend checking those videos out.
And if you're looking for a general coverage of the Hong Kong protests in and of themselves, regardless of Blizzard and NBA stuff, because those things don't really matter in the grand scheme of things, Philip DeFranco has sort of covered the saga since its inception.
Because some people don't realize that Hong Kong technically has semi-autonomy over itself rather than China. Because it used to be
China effectively sort of violated that.
Because it used to be a British colony. I'm pretty sure at some point.
That's history. You're playing with dangerous waters. We're bringing history on. You're trying to get me to verify history.
Fact check.
Yes.
Oh, what?
No, I'm just messing with you.
Oh,
You're
sorry.
good.
I was just looking at CNBC, and they don't even call, at least from this first part of this article, they don't even call Blizzard. They call it Activision.
Interesting.
So I know
that Activision's the top dog and everything.
Right, but they're saying it's obviously that's just their.
Yeah.
I mean, it could just be a typo.
They're not.
Well, it's like they're partner companies.
Yeah.
And like it's Activision Blizzard, and Activision and Blizzard like do things autonomously.
Oh yeah. So the next one further in the article, they refer to it Activision Blizzard. Yeah. So they call it both, but they put Activision in the name, which is I think is a very interesting point.
I can just imagine them going up in the to the audience and saying, "What? Do you guys not have free speech? like do you guys not have phones?"
Yeah. I saw a meme like that, like the developer of Diablo Immortal going like, "Wait, don't you guys all have phones?" And it's like completely missing the point of the protest. Like,
I mean, this is some deep cut references. To
yeah,
people, but like,
I won't be necessarily mad if this was. I'll be sad for people who were. I am sad for people who are fans of these companies.
Yeah.
However,
and especially saying the esports people that have devoted like years. I mean, how long's the game been out? 5 years?
Yeah, the Overwatch community has put time into that game.
Yeah, well, the StarCraft community is. I mean,
it's huge,
especially in South Korea and Japan. It is massive.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see how South Koreans and Japanese players are reacting to this, if they are at all. I don't know what the landscape is over there.
Yeah, I mean I'm not exactly an authority on Asia politics.
Yeah,
I think though, looking at and just how this week alone has gone down, I think now that U.S. companies are starting to,
they're starting to feel the fire.
They're starting to feel the fire. I think that, unfortunately, these companies are going to have to address it.
Yeah. It's gonna like Marco. I think it was Marco Rubio or somebody said like this is a marking point. Like this is a like things are going to change one way or another. It's not necessarily going to happen overnight, but it's going to change.
And it kind of is an eerie reminder of how video games were in the 90s with the rating system.
Yeah.
Of they make mistakes and the government steps in and says, "You clearly can't handle this yourself. We're gonna do it," and that gets companies spooked when governments say, "No, we're gonna do it."
Yeah,
like,
companies will immediately fire back.
And this is even worse timing. Speaking of the government issues, because of microtransactions, and loot boxes.
This is all sort of wrapped up in one big ball of fire.
Yeah, the gaming community is having a time right now.
We're either on fire or setting fire. It's one of those two things. I can't tell.
We're all
one of those
simultaneously going, "Yay! I can't wait for the next gen consoles." Meanwhile, saying forgetting about the fire. It's like that meme of that dog saying everything is fine as the house is burning down around him. Like
I will say, I am legitimately sad for fans of the NBA, fans of Blizzard, things like that.
Yeah.
If this results in the fall of Activision, I will not miss them.
I will miss the yearly Call of Duty, but other than that...
I mean, in fairness, I was done with Call of Duty
Yeah.
until this newest Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
Same, honestly.
So, if, I don't want it to happen. I don't want people to be laid off or anything.
I don't
But-
want people to lose their job.
I would not be heartbroken if
Yes.
there was no more Call of Duties.
I would be happy if all of that talent that Activision has, because that's a lot of talent.
Yeah, oh,
Like
yeah.
they're these people, I know that we like to bash on Activision a lot,
Right.
but I do too. But it's the top dogs I really have a problem with. Everybody at Activision
and the
deserves all of the
technology, too.
kudos for how much money they bring in.
Yeah.
They deserve all of the recognition
Right.
for that.
If we can give
But
Activision one award, it's that they're not E EA.
they're not EA.
Yeah.
That's true.
But in terms of this newest Call of Duty and of recent Call of Duties, one of the best things about them is their use of getting A-list actors in there,
Mhm.
Yeah.
getting performance capture. I hope I'm getting
Yes,
that right.
that's,
Okay,
that's right.
making more of an emphasis on performance capture and that they look real in the game.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that not a lot of games are doing well at the
Mhm.
moment, but Activision has gotten that, and especially with this newest one.
Yeah.
This newest one looks
And
in terms of graphics.
yeah, it looks
awesome.
amazing. I will give Activision credit too that they always give a significant, or I don't know always, but I don't know how recently they've done it. They have charities that go up. Some of the proceeds from Call of Duty do go to veteran funds, I believe.
Yeah.
So I
They do some cool things.
And like I said, it's their Activision. I may have issues with the monetization of some of it,
Yeah.
but if every game company is moving towards monetization, Activision, as far as I know, I haven't looked into the monetization of Modern Warfare yet, so I
Yeah.
don't know. But from what I've seen, it's not the worst out there. It's
Yeah.
not nearly as bad as EA or any of the others.
It's not FIFA.
It's not FIFA. Yeah.
and if you're not FIFA, then you get a pass in my book.
But
Um,
I will say this is things are complicated now for gaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be an interesting couple months.
If you follow gaming news and the gaming industry, the gamers themselves who aren't just passive, I don't want to go into the whole hardcore gamer thing,
Yeah.
but if you
people who pay attention.
people who pay attention to the gaming industry, things are happening right now
Yeah.
that is gonna really set the tone for the next generation of consoles.
Yeah. I mean, this is we're like this week. I did not go into it thinking that I would see the landscape shift as much as it has, because before
This year,
week,
really, this year,
Yeah.
everything has been changing.
Well, and I went into this week thinking okay, I'm gonna live my life and it's just gonna happen. Blizzard's still gonna be on top, whatever. and maybe I'll scroll over Overwatch and try and think about buying it, but not actually buy it. And now and then all of this happened,
Yeah.
and now I'm just oh, I guess I'm not buying Overwatch now. And I guess I'm not gonna. I was thinking for a long time about downloading Hearthstone, maybe getting into WoW at some point, stuff like that. And now it's just I guess not anymore.
'Cause,
Just because of this.
Like
right?
I was gonna buy. Good Old Games has the remastered versions of the first two Warcraft games. I was considering getting those, and not anymore.
Yeah.
But it's
It's a shame.
It's sad because there's so much great talent at Blizzard, and they're getting screwed over by these people in the upper echelons. But honestly, this is a whole other topic. But basically saying that even outside of gaming, just in general, in terms of our typical topics, in terms of technology, film, video games, this last year, and in terms of the last 2 years, everything is moving so rapidly.
Yeah.
And that by the end of, because this decade's going to be over in 3 months, which really is weird.
Oh Lord!
But
I just had an existential crisis.
this next decade is going to be one heck of a decade.
Yeah, it's
the 2020s are going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah.
pretty wild. Even forgetting entertainment. Just
Yeah.
world news in general is going to be absolutely insane.
That's not even addressing politics.
yeah,
Like, that's
like,
not even.
yeah.
Oh, man, next year is
Oh.
gonna be a fun year.
Yeah, 2020 is going to simultaneously be like lots of really, really cool stuff's going to happen,
Yeah.
and some really, really bad stuff is
It's,
going to
it's
happen.
literally gonna always be that SpongeBob meme we just talked about and everything.
The entirety of 2020 is just the
It's just that
inside
meme.
of SpongeBob's head.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well,
All right. Well, for
Well, we're on a roll. This week
Yes.
isn't even really even entertainment news. This is
It's
just,
just
what have people been doing wrong?
Yeah.
This week.
the only levity we've had was that Quantum Break wasn't a total disaster.
Yeah. We went. Yeah. Quantum Break was fine. Hey, anybody who's upset with Blizzard, move over from that to Quantum Break.
Yeah.
Everybody go
Yeah.
buy Quantum
Go.
Break.
Go.
It's on the Windows Store. Go
Yeah.
buy.
Just spend your money. Don't even play it. Just
Don't-
spend your money on it.
Yeah,
guess-
give, Microsoft never does anything wrong. Go spend all your money with Microsoft.
They don't have any relations to China. Like.
No.
I guess what I can say is I hope Blizzard can work things out,
Me too.
but
we all.
you know,
Maybe next week, I'll be like, okay, they did good.
yeah, but also that's not to excuse the fact of their actions.
No.
You know what I mean?
Somebody, I hate to say this, but somebody needs to get fired for this.
Yeah,
Like, somebody needs to go.
Yeah.
It won't happen, but
One of the
somebody needs to.
funniest things I saw was that like a new sort of online TCG thing, Gods Unchained, I think is what it was called.
Mm.
Like the developers of that were basically like, all right, Blizzard did this. We're gonna pay this guy his prize money and invite him to our $500K tournament.
Yeah,
And
that
I'm
one.
just like, that's some good PR.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Which,
Good
speaking
job.
of PR, has completely backfired on Blizzard because this whole thing of banning him was to kind of save themselves from China backing down
Yeah.
on them and
Yeah.
kicking them out, and now they're going to lose money over here because of that.
Now-
It's amazing what
now
happens
the
when you're
entire-
too afraid of things
Yeah.
that you end up causing it.
Yeah, now the entirety of the U.S. gamers market is against them,
Basically.
and it's like this is
And
they're
even,
like
and even
they're
non-gamers,
like-
if the Senate's
Yeah.
getting involved in this, then it's
yeah,
big.
Yeah, this
And
is like the fact that I was
Senate.
reading.
Yeah, it's funny because I was starting it and you said it before. I was like, I am this.
I love watching. This is so off topic, but I love watching like Palpatine versus Mace Windu videos, and it's like the comments are like, "You get the title is wrong. It should be Mace Windu versus the Senate."
I want to go onto Blizzard's Reddit page and just put the Padme. So this is how Liberty dies with thunderous applause. Padme live.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, with that, Caleb, I believe you have another
Transitioning
topic.
What are we talking about now?
to Star Wars.
Oh, this is gonna be. Oh, okay. Here we go.
Oh, no.
Here we go.
So, we're gonna have to cut this episode short.
So this is I think this topic's going to be fairly short,
Yeah.
and I'm not meaning that in a sarcastic way.
No.
I'm actually meaning. So there's a rumor, and it's all stemmed down to John Boyega's agent tweeting out
His agent.
that the next at Star Wars movies trailer out Monday, it's official, and it has a picture of the Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker poster and Monday Night Football on top of it, and nobody knew that it was going to happen.
Nobody thought that we were getting a Star Wars trailer.
And so
It's not surprising.
it's not
considering-
surprising.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're in the run up.
Yeah.
We're in the end game now.
Yeah, we are in the end.
We're in that time where like the tickets are going to go on sale, but I think first off I want to ask, do you guys think the trailer's going to drop on Monday?
I think it's going to be during Monday Night Football. I don't know if it's going to be this Monday.
I
but
don't think it's going to be this Monday in the sense of like you know, it's a big deal when a Star Wars trailer comes out for these past couple of years, and especially for this last trailer. Like, I'm not saying it might be another trailer, but you know, it's assumed that this is going to be the last big trailer, and they always drop the tickets,
Right
and
after,
so
yeah.
and they have to do this now because they have to prepare movie companies for the incoming storm of online pre-ticket sales, and so their servers don't crash. I mean,
it's gonna crash Fandango. The last
Yeah.
2 episodes have done that.
Endgame did that.
Endgame did that. Too.
Endgame was the worst.
Endgame literally broke Fandango.
Endgame broke every movie site
Every
because
time.
I know I was trying to get my tickets and I had to wait 4 hours
Yeah.
before I got my tickets, and
Pretty annoying.
and you went with me.
I benefited
So
from
you
that.
you know the seats we got, they weren't the
They
most
weren't the-
perfect seats.
Yeah. I mean, I still appreciate having gone.
Right,
but,
yeah.
Like, the seats were little suspect.
I waited like a week before and got seats right in the middle. So
Nice.
The
Good job.
the
Yeah.
But I guess that's my point. You know,
It's like it sounds.
Don't
a
get
little
your
too
hopes
soon-
up.
Too soon.
yeah.
I don't. Just to be contradictory, I think it's happening.
You
I
think
think
it's
it's
happening?
this Monday.
I
would
mean,
say-
Just to throw in a little bit of a different.
it would be great because it's the
Yeah.
Lions versus the Packers, and those. And the Lions
Okay,
are my
okay.
team.
All right, Caleb.
I would say it's now episodes 7 and 8 both had their final trailer debut during Monday Night Football.
Correct.
I don't remember the exact dates, but I know they were both during Monday Night Football, so I know it's
Mhm.
going to be during it, and I know it's in October because the tickets always
Yeah,
fill
it's
up.
always mid October.
So it's either going to be what's the date? This Monday is the 14th.
Today's the 11th. So,
yeah, this Monday's the 4th.
14th, I think. I think it's
Yeah.
the 14th. Well,
I'll look at my
Yes,
calendar.
yeah. So it's either going to be this Monday or the Monday after.
Yeah.
I will almost guarantee you that it's going to be debuting during
This
that,
Monday.
and that it's going to end with tickets on sale now or
Yeah.
something
Yeah,
like that. Like,
but I think
It's gonna be that.
I don't think this is a good idea to just up and surprise everybody, even though it would be kind of assumed. But like, if you see tickets on sale now and like none of the movie companies were ready for it,
Well,
that's a disaster.
they're going to have less.
They but Disney's been talking.
Yeah.
I can't see a future in which like Fandango. I think whoever runs these kinds of things at Fandango already knows when the tickets are going to go live.
Yeah,
It's
like,
just like they.
I'm sure
like, yeah.
Disney's already told them. That's just not publicly.
Yeah,
announced.
I think that I don't disagree that like
right.
these ticket companies shouldn't be surprised. I just don't think they are. I don't think they're going to be. I think that they'll be fine.
It's gonna be interesting. I don't even know what the trailer's even gonna show at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in a position where I'm like, all right, I know how it's gonna end. Rey and Kylo Ren are gonna kill Palpatine, and it's gonna end the Skywalker saga in a nice little bow, and we're all gonna go home feeling like happy Star Wars fans.
I don't
And
know about
yeah,
that.
you guys said-
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't know about that.
And so I'm kind of in the position of like, all right, how is this movie gonna start? I know how it ends. How's it gonna start? And
I'll tell you. Okay, I'm gonna make some
I
predictions.
want
here.
it to start with Matt Smith.
Yeah.
I want to
what
make
I
some
want.
predictions because
That's
every
very
Star Wars
specific.
trailer,
Yeah.
there's always like some big stinger at the end to
Yes.
get you excited. So what is that stinger? For me, it's I have a couple options that I think
I
haven't
have
predicted
two.
yet.
So.
Okay. So first thing, either a tease for the ghost of Anakin,
Okay.
Palpatine.
He said
Like
both
actually-
of mine. He literally said
actually
both of
Palpatine.
mine.
Actually, Palpatine, like in the flesh or like Force Ghost or whatever,
Literal Palpatine.
or Force Ghost Luke.
Okay.
Okay, so I will refute the Palpatine for this sake. The fact that he has been confirmed to come back,
Yeah.
Mhm.
we already know that.
Ian McDermott. As
And
Yeah.
he's been voiceover in the trailers every time.
Mm.
I think they want to keep it secret on how he comes back.
Yeah.
Therefore, I don't think they will show it in the trailer.
well. Yeah. Sorry, did I interrupt you?
No.
I do think Ghost of Anakin, Ghost Vader, something is possible.
We're going to get something with Vader.
Yeah.
There's always
we've
something
been
with
hearing
Vader.
the breathing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think he's gonna be in the movie somehow. I think so. I think two stingers: Ewan McGregor or Matt Smith. Now, do I want Ewan McGregor in this movie? Yes. Do I want to see Matt Smith actually as young Palpatine? Yes. So I would prefer seeing Matt Smith to seeing Ewan McGregor, mostly because I'm a diehard Doctor Who
Quick-
fan, and I think
I didn't know he was in the movie.
And I would
Yeah,
think,
is he in the
well,
movie?
he was cast. He was announced as being
Okay,
cast,
but he's not.
like there.
No one said
he's
anything
all
about what he's doing.
speculation,
Yeah,
right?
he's well, and they removed him from the cast listing as well.
Hmm.
So I'm really worried because he's arguably my favorite Doctor, and if they did my boy dirty by cutting him, I'm gonna be really mad.
Well, if he is in it, I would say I don't think he's an important character, but I think he will be a cameo of some sort.
The speculation is that he plays young Palpatine.
Yeah.
And that's like he's perfect for that role.
But then if we do that, we go into Darth Plagueis. And because
ironic.
well, I'm just saying because if I'm not one of the I'm open to
Yeah.
regular Star Wars theories. I think most of the time it's just a lot of just fan speculation that's just never going to happen. And so I don't like to put much thought into it. But
You're telling me Darth Jar Jar isn't a thing? Caleb, don't crush my dreams.
If we look at any type of Palpatine lore
Yeah.
of the prequels, and I'm just talking about the movies in general. I'm not talking about any of the books and stuff. And the prequels and the original trilogy. The only thing that we got from Palpatine in terms of backstory was Darth Plagueis.
Yeah.
So do we
And
see
it's-
a correlation of Darth Plagueis into the Rise of Skywalker, and was that the explanation? And here's the actual theory of Snoke was Darth Plagueis this whole time, and now that
I was just about to say that. It's like Snoke is Darth Plagueis confirmed or something
So-
like that.
Oh goodness.
and it would be J.J. Abrams' way of course correction for the Last Jedi.
JJ, don't do this. JJ, don't do this, man. I don't do it. That's a bad idea. Don't
That's
do
gonna
it.
anger a lot of
I
people.
agree
if they
with
do
you.
that.
Because I'll say this:
Oh man, I'm so
my main
terrified.
gripes, my main gripes with the Last Jedi
Oh, no.
was how much it didn't honor the previous films.
Mhm.
Like it just went against a lot of the films. Don't do that again.
Do the poetry thing. George Lucas always said it's like poetry. It rhymes. They need to do that again.
So don't
Like,
Yeah.
So don't contradict the contradiction.
Also,
That's
someone
my-
needs to lose
my
an
thing.
arm. Like, a Skywalker needs to lose an
yeah,
arm.
somebody needs to lose an arm.
It sounds brutal, but like it has to happen.
Kylo Ren's gonna lose his arm.
Kylo Ren or Rey. If Rey's gonna end up being a Skywalker, I'm calling it right now. Or
I-
Solo. She's gonna be Solo.
A friend told me that they thought he was gonna be a Kenobi, or she was gonna be a Kenobi.
yeah,
And I was gonna be so excited, but I was wrong.
She is Han Solo and Leia's daughter. I'm calling it right now.
I'm gonna be so.
They
mad if
set
it's
that up
So much.
bluntly in Force Awakens.
Yeah.
But there's also the other. See,
But
I don't
your
know why I
par-
keep
her
bringing up
parents
theories.
Are nothing like that. Like that. My
But here's
my
the
problem is like my problem is that like the search your feelings. You know it to be true is such an important part of like Star Wars fact. Like if somebody tells that to you, it's true. They're not lying to you. If Kylo Ren was lying to Rey about that, I'm gonna be so mad because that's like it's one of the most important.
I also like the idea of, and this is going off of this was sparked off of the last trailer. Actually, no, it sparked off of the Last Jedi. I said it at the Last Jedi, but it only took off after the most recent Star Wars trailer.
Yeah.
That Rey may be a clone.
Yeah.
And I think this more ties into my
Interesting.
love for The Force Unleashed.
I was just gonna say it's very
and
Force
Star
Unleashed.
Killer.
Yeah, and I think though, but the
Ooh,
idea
if Rey was female Star Killer, I'd be alright with that.
the idea
Cool with
is Rey, that dark Rey is a clone, and it's not
Of
necessarily
Rey.
yeah. It's Palpatine's new. Well, it's not Palpatine, but it's his new apprentice.
Interesting.
I want to see how
That's
they
the theory.
find. I've also heard. I know we're going into theories now, but I've also heard the theory that Palpatine's like essence takes over Rey.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I think it'd also be interesting to see like I just want to see how they found a way to incorporate Leia. Like, I want to see how
Yeah.
they give her a good send off.
Yeah.
But I just the thing for Star Wars, and I know we're going in loop on this. Like, it's. I remember going into Force Awakens. I know we talked about this coming out of Joker. I remember going into Force Awakens feeling so excited I could barely even stay still. I was so excited.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna go to Rise of Skywalker, just like so nervous. I'm like,
Yeah.
Just
And that's
like,
actually
please,
why I brought
please.
up this. Why I brought up this topic. It's like I remember when The Force Awakens was coming out,
So do I.
Yeah.
and like when a trailer was about to drop, even if it was just a rumor.
The entire internet would freeze.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
like, it's happening.
It's happening. It's
happening.
happening.
Now we're like
Everybody stay calm.
now we get a tweet from John Boyega's agent, and we all laugh about it because we
Yeah.
don't.
Star Wars. The thing is that yeah, we had like the Clone Wars, and I think Rebels was coming out around the time that
Mhm.
the Force Awakens. was
Rebels
happening.
started a year before.
Yeah.
Right.
But The Force Awakens was really like the first time Star Wars had been relevant to
Mhm.
large audiences in a long time. Like, and so it was like that was part of the reason was we all thought that Star Wars was dead. And then
Right.
they were making a new movie again, and it's like yes, yes, yes. And then we got Rogue One, and we were really excited because like, oh, we're getting some new Star Wars stories. This is really cool. Then The Last Jedi comes out. Nobody likes it.
Well, I wouldn't say nobody.
I loved it. I think like audiences that aren't on the internet really liked it, and then critics loved it too. Critics
I think it's
gave it
critics
really
did
great
Star
love it,
Wars
which was
fans.
shocked.
Most Star Wars fans didn't love it.
Yeah.
I think film fans, like film critics and film fans,
Yeah.
liked it. And I think the general audience who doesn't have a whole lot of stake in it in this
Yeah.
stuff was just like, yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
People who are like nitpicking the lore and the story and stuff like that didn't like it.
yeah, and
So us. So
Yeah, I was.
so
I
you
was like-
two and not me.
Basically. And I don't know where Ahmad fits in this. I think
Ahmad doesn't like.
Ahmad didn't like it, but in
Um,
fairness, when we watched, okay, so I don't know if he's told you this story, but he actually never got around to seeing The Last Jedi.
Oh
in
yeah,
theaters.
that's right.
And we all watched it in a room together, and it was just all dogging on The Last Jedi as he watched it for the first time.
I've been
So-
saying what we need to do is like, look, I got it right down there. I've got every single Star Wars movie. We need to go through and just record us just dogging on each Star Wars movie.
all of
because
the
we
Star
all
Wars
have
movies.
different opinions
Yeah,
for
we
each
all
one.
love them, but we all can easily make fun of
Yes,
them. And that's
um,
it's I don't know Star Wars.
It'll be
makes
me with the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy,
Yeah.
and the rest of you with the sequel.
You know what we should wait until in April is usually when the Blu-rays of the Star Wars
Correct.
movies come out. In April, when the Rise of Skywalker Blu-ray
Oh,
comes
no.
out, we
We're just
go
gonna do
through.
a marathon.
We go
So-
through because by that point the Skywalker saga will be over. We can do
Oh, yes.
all
Supposedly.
9, and then we can also throw
until
in
2 years from now. Yeah.
Not Solo.
Solo, Rogue One, and
Okay,
the Ewok
let's do
movies.
Solo.
The
Yes.
Ewok, the Ewok movies have to be in
put me
there.
through the Ewok.
You had them watch Wilford Brimley hang out with a
Well,
kid
it's
in
funny.
Endor,
Yeah.
something like that.
and say the F
Yeah,
word.
Wilford Brimley says the F word in this kid's Star Wars movie. It's under his breath too. I can't, look that up, by the way. It's great.
Oh, yeah, so somebody go look that up.
Anyway,
yeah,
what are we talking about?
Star Wars trailer.
Oh yeah.
I guess the last thing I want to say is that if I really want this movie to be good, and
Yeah.
I think that J.J. Abrams knows what he's doing. Like
Yeah.
I like people like to dog on him for for Lost and for the Star Trek, the new Star Trek movies.
Yeah.
Hey,
One
the
thing-
2009 Star Trek is
yeah,
great.
yeah, I really like those movies, anyways, and I think that he's
yeah,
he's
I like
really
them too.
he's really good at like I think of all the directors out there, I kind of wish he had been the one to direct like Captain Marvel. Because, like, I think that, like,
yeah, that would've
he's...
been cool.
Yeah, like, I think he's sort of the best at giving audience... Like, he's one of those, like, Phil Lord and Chris Miller types, where he's, like, he's the best at giving audiences what they want.
I would like a
And-
J.J. Abrams Fantastic Four movie.
That would be pretty great, too.
Or
Although-
a J.J. Abrams Flash movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Give it to me, and then give me my Nolan Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Do it, Nolan.
That would
Um,
have to be
Why
along
is there
the lines
not
of Rogue One.
a
though.
Christopher Nolan James Bond movie?
Because
Dude, that would be so good.
probably because every time he's gone into it, they've had specific things they need him to do, and he's
He's
like,
not
I
gonna
don't
do
want
that.
him to do that.
Yeah.
He wants free reign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of the reason The Dark Knight Rises is the movie that it is because he got to do whatever he wanted with it. It's not because The Dark Knight was like lightning in a bottle, and then The Dark Knight Rises, which I still really like The Dark Knight Rises, but it's definitely like it's Nolan doing whatever he wants, which is kind of like it's definitely his style.
You
And
know
now
what
he and now he just gets to do whatever.
You know what I've realized from this conversation?
Oh no.
There's not really, at least off the top of my head, a major like science fiction fantasy franchise that isn't in some kind of jeopardy.
Star Trek's doing pretty okay.
Is it though?
No.
People don't like Discovery,
Yeah.
but
People are excited about
but it-
Picard.
yeah,
So,
I'm really excited
But,
about
like,
Picard.
that one's doing fine. And James Bond is not sci-fi or fantasy, but it's got.
Yeah.
I after Spectre, I'm a
Major-
little bit concerned about the
Major
time to die.
sci-fi.
I thought it was okay. I thought
Uh,
Spectre was okay. We should have a James Bond talk
We need
soon.
to. We should. And
That's a topic.
I mean, Game of Thrones is a lot. Is a lot to talk
Yeah.
about.
But while we look
I
at
don't know.
Marvel, though,
Marvel. I mean,
Yeah.
their Phase 4 is going to be interesting.
Yeah,
That's
Phase
like-
4 is
Yeah,
gonna be
Phase 4.
People will
Phase
say
4
like,
is-
"Oh, well." It'd be like, how does Marvel survive after Endgame? And Spider-Man makes a ton of money. Spider-Man's an exception because it's Spider-Man. He's
Yeah.
gonna make
Yeah.
money regardless.
I'm.
How does
I-
the Eternals do? Is the
Yeah,
question.
how does the Eternals do, and how does Shang-Chi do? If those two movies do good, then Marvel's gonna be fine for millions of years.
Black Widow's gonna
But-
make money
yeah.
regardless.
Yeah.
So it's-
Oh yeah. I forgot. I
Does
keep
that come
forgetting
that comes out first.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I keep forgetting that
It
Black
comes
Widow's
out
coming out.
literally 2 weeks before Marvel's Avengers game, and they have the same villain.
Oh yeah.
So far.
I forgot about that.
Well,
Taskmaster's not the main
Taskmaster's,
villain.
Yeah, but-
Taskmaster's in the first.
But he's
hour.
actually the villain that you get introduced to in the game,
That's
and
kinda
you
cool.
go you know,
Do we know who the main villain of the Avengers game is?
no.
Doctor Doom.
That's a cool idea.
That would be cool, but
I'm excited about Doctor Doom.
It's either gonna be Doctor Doom, Thanos, or
The
Kang.
leader?
One of
Yeah.
the two. The leader could be one of them too.
Yeah.
Give me Kang. Why is
Give
Kang not a
me
villain yet? Give me
Galactus.
Kang. I want Kang.
I want Galactus.
Galactus would be cool too.
Yes.
But he's also. That's a whole other topic.
yeah, we're going on to a different
So, with that, Caleb, did you have anything else you wanted to say about the Star
well,
Wars trailer?
Basically, in conclusion, it's interesting to see how this is kind of how I thought of this topic, and
Yeah.
how it did go down. It's interesting to see how through the years the hype has changed, and I just wanted to point that out. We talk about Star Wars a lot, but
Yeah, we do.
we also talk about
Star Wars, DC, and Marvel are like our probably like have the most time on
Right.
this podcast.
And they're always. Well, I guess for Marvel it's always praise, and then for DC and Star Wars it's always, can you please get your crap together? Like it's just like.
so yeah.
To be fair,
Enough
I
said.
think
No, no.
we've been mildly giving DC some praise for Robert Pattinson, but
Yeah, for that, for Joker, and
yeah.
for the Crisis.
yeah,
Other than that,
we've been giving them some good press.
we'll see what happens when Birds of Prey comes out.
Yes. Oh man, I'm so sad that Ewan McGregor's superhero villain appearance is in Birds of Prey.
He's also
I
not
know.
even truly playing Black Mask. He doesn't even wear the mask.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm
it's
so mad. In any case, Sawyer, what is your next topic? I don't even know if it's going to be a news topic.
Well, I'm going
Oh, it
to, since we're pressed on time, I'm going to delay the one that I had talked about since I haven't beat the sequel yet. So I will just do both of those next week.
Yes.
But
a Kojima title.
it is he produced, he did not direct.
Our weekly Kojima reference.
Yes, weekly Kojima. There you go, Dad. But I'm going to briefly talk about, and this will lead into, I assume you're going to talk about what I think you're going to talk about next.
Yes.
With
The Star Trek or PlayStation?
PlayStation.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll talk about PlayStation.
The
I'll save Star Trek for next year.
that's what I'll do with Zone of the Enders too. No, there you go, Zone of the Enders. I'm gonna save that for next week.
Produced
So
by Hideo Kojima.
I'm gonna talk about VR because VR does not get talked about very often now.
No, we don't talk about
And
VR very often.
It's actually there's some cool things happening in VR. First thing I want to mention was the new episode of Vader Immortal for Oculus
that's been
is
happening.
out now.
Is that canon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And, honestly, anything that Disney produced after The Force Awakens is considered
Actually, it's
canon.
after 2014 because of Rebels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2014 is canon.
I gotta do that.
And
Actually, it's not the only.
and Clone Wars.
Clone
Well,
Wars.
yeah,
Yeah.
Clone Wars is considered canon, but in terms of anything outside of that, in
Yeah.
terms of lore,
Well,
it's not canon.
Outside of the main movies and
Yeah.
the Clone Wars,
Yeah.
everything else.
It was all like rebranded as like Legends or
But
something.
any
like that.
any Disney book that has come out is considered canon. I don't know how I feel about that. Because it's just like
Yeah.
they're following the same footsteps as before, where it's getting too expansive. Nobody
Yeah.
knows what you're talking about. Also, you have producers being like, "Oh, this happened. Well,
I don't want to do that.
how do we write ourselves out of this
Yeah.
thing?"
Yeah.
And it just becomes too much of a hassle.
Yeah.
But I think that in terms of media, it's a good idea. We even Battlefront 2 and Fallen Order is going to be canon. So.
Yeah. Well, Battlefront 2's problem is it tried too hard, and this is off topic, but Battlefront 2's big problem is that its campaign tried to tie in too much of the comics and books to the point where the campaign
Yes.
didn't make
Yes.
sense if you haven't read everything else.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, so what is going on
And that's
here?
exactly my point, though.
Yeah.
Oh, we are going way off
Yeah.
topic.
We just got off of Star Wars.
Well, anyway,
That realization, you guys all know.
We
what
will
I was
save this for
talking
next
Yeah,
week.
we'll talk more Star Wars at some other
yeah,
time.
I'm sure we will next week.
Yes.
But anyway, on VR, Vader Immortal is pretty good. There's a new, from what I've heard, I haven't played it yet. The Oculus Quest came out. I talked about that more than a year ago, I think.
Oh yeah.
I haven't bought that yet because it's $400.
Yeah, it's
but-
like it's a computer / console free VR console.
Yeah.
Is that right?
So it's basically a headset that it all runs independently.
Which
but
is sick.
apparently there's going to be a way soon so that you can hook up your Quest to a PC if you want to play PC games.
That's
That's
pretty cool.
Or for like an extra power boost, something like that. So it'll be cool. It also does not have any sensors you have to hang up. It all has like built-in sensors. So that's pretty cool. I think with VR there's some cool titles coming on PlayStation VR with Iron Man VR looks to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp is apparently going to be the villain of that game.
Oh, that's
Which is
cool.
interesting.
Oh, cool. I actually
Oh.
like. Well, you know how I dogged on Ant-Man 2 earlier?
Yeah.
I actually liked Ghost
Yeah,
because it
seriously.
tied into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but that's a whole other topic.
That's
Oh no.
we did say this episode was going to be chaos.
Yes,
Yes.
this is chaos.
But it's chaos and us complaining about corporations and people.
Yes.
Not even corporations, just us complaining about people.
Yeah. People and money,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
But then again, I'm
Anyways.
not the type to hate corporations because they also give us stuff like this.
Yes.
VR is it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah, it is.
There's some stuff that's coming that's pretty big. I've been
Yeah.
wanting to play Defector on the Oculus Store. We got Iron Man VR is coming. What was the other one that's on PlayStation? Trover Saves the Universe looks pretty cool from the writers of Rick and Morty.
Okay, that's cool.
I think my reservations about VR at the moment, because at first I was like, oh, VR is cool. We're going into our next phase of gaming here.
Mm.
And then there's been a kind of, I would say there's been a lot of slow development in the past.
Yeah.
In this current
Yeah.
generation, there has been very low amounts of development in that area. And this is just my opinion and from what I've seen. The gameplay is very clunky, and now we're getting big name titles to boost the idea of VR.
Yeah.
But the gameplay's very choppy, and it's very
It's not optimized.
quick stories, and it's like nothing's appealing to me to go out and buy 200. How much is it for a
Depends on which
PlayStation
headset.
VR?
PlayStation VR is like $200.
Yeah, 200. It's not. That's not enough to convince me to go out there and buy a thing, and then also buy the game on top of that for something that's like 10 minutes of gameplay.
They're having the Steam problem, which no shade on Steam, but Steam's whole thing is they just allow whatever they want on their platform, and a lot of it is just like, $5. It's a 10-minute game for $5 that you can beat. Like it's pointless.
But that's not bad when it's just $5. You know what I mean?
Like my thing with VR is that a lot of these games so far, at least the ones on PC, are a lot of just either arcade shooting galleries or they're quick 10-minute experiences. Yeah. And that's why on PC VR I have an Oculus Rift, but most of the games that I play on it are the ones made by Oculus Studios.
Right.
Yeah.
So like Defector is pretty cool. Yeah. Robo Recall is so much fun.
They know their tech the best, so they make the best.
Yeah. Right. I will say PlayStation VR has been. I don't know how many PlayStation VR games you've played.
I actually have played 0.
So
but I've seen summaries and some stuff. So
PlayStation
particularly
VR,
with Arkham.
Yeah. Sony has. I mean, as what they are with all their exclusives, has put in a lot of time and care into them. Mm-hmm. Recently, I picked up Blood and Truth for my PlayStation VR headset, which is it's a sort of Guy Ritchie-esque spy game. Well, not like I guess not necessarily spy. It's kind of like a London gangster type game, and while it has your typical point and shoot type gameplay, it actually has a story. Mm-hmm. It's about a 10-hour game, so it's not like a quick 10-minute experience. Cool. And there's also like an arcade mode to keep you busy once you beat it. There's that. I mean, obviously Skyrim VR will keep you busy for a decade. There's that.
Sorry.
Yeah. What other ones are there? It's been Iron Man VR looks like it's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's Batman Arkham VR was short, but for what it was only retailed for like $20. So like for what it was pretty good.
That's fair.
Like there are games that are coming for it, and like Ace Combat 7 was entirely in VR. Resident Evil 7 was entirely VR. I didn't play it in VR, Resident Evil 7, because it was terrifying. But I think if you're gonna do a VR headset, for $200, personally for me, I think you could justify some games on it. Mm-hmm. But for the $400 Oculus Quest, for all the clutter and garbage cluttering Steam in the Oculus store, there isn't a whole lot.
Going off that, I think my personal opinion towards VR right now is like, I want to wait until the next generation of VR. Mm. I think because if we look back at the good old days of PlayStation 1 and then, the Nintendo 64, and then if we look before that and how much games shifted, I think we're in that before phase, and I think we're about to get into within the next VR generation that PlayStation 1 and Nintendo 64 type of feel.
Yeah. I mean, look at the jump between the Super Nintendo and the N64.
Right.
The graphical jump between those two.
And I think we're getting to that phase, but it's been slow moving. And right now, I'm not entirely excited for the stuff that's out now. I'm excited for where we can go.
I mean, my problem with VR is I think of VR and I literally just want like The Matrix or Sword Art Online. Yeah. And we're not there yet.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
And so, I'm not necessarily like... I'm not against or like disappointed in VR, really. Yeah. I think some of it's actually really cool. Mm-hmm. But I'm not interested because like I want my virtual reality to be totally immersive and not like make me feel sick. And like I don't want some of the limitations that are already there. And so I'm kind of just waiting for those limitations to pass and so I can like just get Ready Player One and stuff like that, right? Like
I have the same thoughts on it. It's like, I want it to where it can get, but we don't have the technology.
I think VR needs to shake the stigma of them just being short little like downloadable, almost iOS style games.
mini experience.
That's how it feels. That's how it feels to me is iOS games.
Yeah, like they need to have full-fledged system seller experiences. And Sony, to their credit, has been trying. There is some cool stuff coming, and Oculus too. The problem is that's why the Vive is not selling outside of like tech connoisseurs, because the Vive doesn't really have it's basically all off of Steam, and as much as Steam is a good platform, it's filled with garbage.
Yeah.
It's
the new WiiWare.
It's a new way. Like for every one good game you find on Steam, there's 10 garbage games that go with it.
Probably even more than
Probably
that.
even more than that. Yeah. So it's that's at least I'll give Oculus credit too. The Oculus exclusives have been pretty good. Defector, Vader Immortal, Marvel Powers United VR, Lone Echo, Robo Recall. There's been some great ones for it. The Vive, the only exclusive I think it's got was they had Fallout VR, which is now on PlayStation, and LA Noire VR, which is now on PlayStation.
That's funny. Yeah. So
Valve, why don't you just make Half-Life 3 in VR? Just give me Half-Life VR. Give me Portal. Portal VR would be awesome.
That would be awesome as long as they made it so that like when you go through a portal, it doesn't mess with your sense of reality.
Yeah.
Because like I could see that like getting really sticky really fast.
Yeah.
So Caleb, you mentioned the next generation of VR, and I think this week we had something of an announcement from
a surprise announcement.
A surprise announcement. I think it was Wired sort of got an exclusive interview with PlayStation about what is officially known as now the PlayStation 5 coming out in holiday 2020.
Guess who called it?
He did. I'm mad. And Ahmad, I think. I think Ahmad was party to that as well. I was sticking to my guns saying May 2020 just because like I thought maybe
Microsoft already announced their holiday 2022.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a repeat of PS4 or Xbox One.
Yeah, and even the year. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 have the same?
No. Xbox 360 was 05. Wii and PS3 were 06.
Oh,
I thought PS3 was 2007.
No, there was a 7-year gap between. There was definitely a 7-year gap between PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4. It was the longest gap in the generation.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think it was like. Yeah, it was like I think the Wii came out like mid-year or something like that, and then PS3 sort of bookended the 2006 console rush.
Because in 2013 the Xbox One and PS4 I think came out within like 2 weeks of each other. It was like
and those console launches were wild.
Yeah.
Like they didn't have a lot of games. They had like 4 games per console or something like that.
I think PlayStation had Killzone, Watch Dogs, Call of Duty Ghosts, and like Battlefield 4.
And then Xbox
and Knack. It had Knack.
It had Knack. That's right.
I'm trying to think because I got it at launch. I'm trying to remember what games I got
for PlayStation.
I think I definitely got Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Because that was when I was pro Call of Duty up until Ghosts.
And didn't mean to interrupt you there, but the launch window also had Infamous.
Infamous came out in like February.
Yeah.
Well, I got it for Christmas that year, so it had to have been before that.
You're right. Yeah.
And then,
I got it for Christmas too.
And then Grand Theft Auto was not at launch, but it was within 6 months.
It was on PS3.
Right.
And
yeah.
then
The upgraded
it a little later to PS4.
The upgraded version was in PS4, and it was a lot more playable in PS4 than it was in PS3.
Not as much texture popping.
Yeah.
So, some neat sort of things with the controller. Apparently, it's like
the haptic feedback is cool.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like we're gonna have to actually hold it in our hands to verify whether or not this is actually gonna be real. Because it's like Nintendo had that tech demo thing with the Switch controllers, and it's like nobody uses that for like
the HD Rumble.
Yeah, like it's not real.
It is. I did play 1-2 Switch, and the HD Rumble on that is pretty cool.
Yeah, I've heard 1-2 Switch is actually kind of neat.
What is haptic?
So it's basically like the vibration in it will be able to, you can customize the way it's going to vibrate. So it's not going to be like, it's going to be kind of tailored to, like the triggers, for example.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say, is I did hear about the triggers, how it's
Yeah.
adjustable.
So like, for example, if you were playing like Gran Turismo,
Yeah.
As you press in the trigger to gas it, you're going to be able to feel that acceleration in the triggers.
Right. So
Which is already kind of something that's part of the PS4, but it's more programmed.
So subtle.
Yeah, it's more programmed it's like programmed for the way that you push down the controller rather than programming it so that it forces you to push down to the controller.
I know another PlayStation 4 game, because this actually brought that up. I know another PlayStation 4 game that was at launch. It was Ratchet and Clank.
That's right.
And
wasn't that launch?
I thought it was like a 2014 game
it definitely was PlayStation 4. I know that. I'm 90% sure it was at launch because it was one of my first experiences with the PlayStation and its use of motion controls, because in that game you had a lot of movement towards it.
I'm gonna look this up.
And for me on Infamous, it was with the touchpad.
I can't remember what it's called. It was the
reboot. Yeah,
it was just the reboot. Okay.
And, I remember on Infamous Second Son, you press the touchpad to smash that
right.
thing. And then, Killzone had used it pretty well too, I think.
That's going to be interesting, because if PlayStation 5...
We were both way off. 2016.
No, then it has to be the one before that.
I don't think there was a Ratchet and Clank game that came out before the reboot. There may have been a collection or something.
I got to see.
But
well, while you guys are looking it up, I think I'll go ahead and announce to our audience some of the other PlayStation 5 announcements. Was that there was so we have the triggers are going to be able to I can't remember the term they used. It wasn't just haptic feedback.
Yeah, well, it's
adaptive triggers.
Yeah, and so developers can program the way that the amount of resistance you'll have. So the example they use is if in a game you're drawing a bow, a developer can sort of optimize that so that you actually feel the resistance you get is sort of proportioned to that of how you would feel when you're drawing a bow, which I think is interesting. I don't know necessarily if I'm. These are all experimental things that I think, as long as if it turns out I don't like it and I can turn it off.
Yeah. The things I
don't really care.
Address here, two things to address. One, this is going to be a lot of tech talk for you guys at home, so this is going to get a lot of tech garbled. Second thing is, we say all this now, but with tech stuff, as we've seen with consoles in the past, there's a lot of hey, look at this cool new feature we have on our console, and then the console comes out, and other than the launch titles, it's never used, such as the touchpad on the DualShock 4. So a lot of the stuff saying it has adaptive triggers. Maybe there'll be a couple launch titles that use it, but otherwise, not much.
Yeah, I mean the only thing I could think of that is maybe kind of in that realm is the Switch in and of itself is kind of one of those things where it's you actually use the tech, which was part of the reason I bought the Switch when I did, because I was this is a neat piece of tech. I kind of want to play Breath of the Wild, Pokemon, stuff like that on it, and I think what's interesting about PS5 is apparently PS4 backwards compatibility is just a given.
Yeah, it's confirmed.
It's confirmed, and that's exciting. If I get to just download my PS4 library to my PS5, and some of it and Spider-Man runs better as a result of that.
Well, because it's going to be a solid state drive.
Yeah.
Which, for those of you at home, a solid state drive, unlike a hard drive is a spinning disc.
Yeah.
It boots up on there. A solid state drive there's no disc. It's just basically pulls it straight from it.
Yeah.
And so load
insane.
times are going to be significantly faster on this thing.
It's going to be absolutely insane. I can't imagine this console costs any less than $500, which is scary.
The other thing to mention with the solid state drive is they did mention, and it's kind of funny how they're not getting flack for it now, but Microsoft did back in 2013, was how you have to download the entire game off the disc onto the hard drive due to the way the solid state drive works.
Well, and what I thought was interesting when I was reading the article was it was Mark Cerny, right?
Yeah, Mark Cerny's the system architect.
Yeah, he's the big boy at Sony he's kind of like whoever the guy is who like actually designs the iPhones. Like Tim Cook is like the
Tim
figurehead.
Cook sells it. He doesn't
Yeah.
make them.
Oh man, speaking of CEOs, Sean Layden.
Oh yeah,
He's
Sean
gone.
Layden left.
Sad to see. Yeah, another gaming CEO legend.
First Reggie,
Um,
now Sean Layden. This is
Man,
going to be a tough year.
I'm really sad. As long as Phil Spencer sticks around,
Yeah.
we'll be okay.
Well, now we got
And
Doug
any-
Bowser. So.
Yeah, and Doug Bowser. That's right.
I think it's.
Yeah.
With did you find Caleb? Did you find the game?
Yeah, no, actually, I did not find it.
Okay.
I'm confused as to why because if I look at the release windows,
Yeah.
looks like the last one before the reboot came out in 2007, and I know that's wrong. So
Okay.
I don't know.
Maybe you just like happened to be playing it on launch day or something.
I could have been and had added features to it, but
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
ran well. I'll tell you that. But I think to PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
Oh man, it feels weird in the mouth to say, PlayStation 5.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get used to it. PS5.
Yeah.
But
It's weird.
PS5 sounds much more natural than PlayStation 5. Like,
That's
I also find it very convenient that it's coming out on holiday. I think it's very smart of them for it to come out on holiday instead of when you said in May, because I'll tell you why. It's the same cycle we had with PlayStation 3 into PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
It's a pure marketing, good marketing scheme, because any of the games that come out in the spring window
Will be on PS5.
will be on PS5. We got Last of Us, we got Final Fantasy VII,
Avengers.
Avengers, and
Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Oh.
All those games come out, I would say
in
7 to
spring.
8 months before,
Mhm.
and therefore you still get the marketing, you still get the community, the gaming community buying it at that time, and you also get people that will want to buy it off of the PlayStation
Yeah.
5.
You'll get
So-
people who are like buying their kids PS5s for Christmas.
Yes.
And like they'll have this like extensive PS4 library that the PS5 will be able to market as running better on PS5.
Exactly,
And-
and it's a great marketing scheme in
Yeah.
terms of almost double selling your
Yeah.
games.
I think it'd be
It's
interesting
smart.
to see, like, from what I really would like to know if this is going to be backwards compatible with more than just the 4. I doubt
Yes.
it, but it'd be really cool to say, like,
Oh, it would be so
like,
great.
for
You get like
Xbox-
the first Infamous game or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like
that'd be
for
pretty cool.
for Xbox right now on the Xbox One, if you put in a disc from the original Xbox or the 360, it just reads it and then downloads the entire game from the cloud.
Yeah.
So if you put in like, say it can run PS1 games, but to play a PS2 or a PS3 game, it has to download it from the cloud and
Yeah.
then after you put the disc in. Just do that. Like if I could just put in a disc and say, hey, I want to play Infamous 2 on my PS5.
I have such a large library for PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
Me too.
That it would be just great to have
PS3
that.
had so many great exclusives.
Oh, I know.
Oh yeah, that console was something else.
It's
I would get my Force Unleashed back.
oh
just to
yeah,
say-
yeah. Get all the good Star Wars games back.
Yeah, all
But,
the
um,
good ones.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
So PlayStation 5 ultimately there hasn't been that much announced. We just know it's officially called PlayStation 5.
Mhm.
It's gonna have a solid state drive. It's got adaptive triggers. The controller's a bit heavier than an Xbox One controller with batteries. And what was I think
I thought it was like in between PS4 and Xbox One with batteries.
it could be from what I heard it was a little bit heavier than the Xbox One controller with batteries.
To me, it don't matter as long as I can play good with it.
Same.
Yeah.
As
As long as it's not a disaster of
Yeah.
a controller like the PS3 controller was.
And I'll bet you right now this game is going to launch with since Last of Us 2 is already coming out and Death Stranding as well.
All right.
It's going to launch with Ghost of Tsushima and Horizon Zero Dawn 2.
Interesting. So that leads me into something I wanted to do with you guys, just
Okay.
as a mild surprise. I'll
Okay.
start us off just to give you guys some time.
Okay.
We're gonna go around 3 times. 3 Dream PS5 Xbox One launch titles. I'll start us out with
Wait, are we starting with PlayStation or Xbox?
Oh, we got to come up with 3.
3 anything.
Oh, for
3 anything.
Oh,
okay.
It's like
Okay.
like if you want to say an Xbox exclusive franchise, go ahead. Don't
Okay.
really- just whatever. I'm gonna start us out with a Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 remake.
Okay.
That's what I like. Final Fantasy VII remake style, where they just completely sort of like they take the core storylines and make an entire new experience surrounding them.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Yeah, go ahead. Do
You already
second?
went through 3?
No,
No,
this is
no,
the first
no,
one.
no,
We went
that's
one
my
by
first
one.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I want them
okay.
packaged together.
I was like, what did I miss something?
No, we're
But-
going around 3 times.
Okay.
We'll have to do it quick though, because
So-
it's already
Yeah.
we're already 2 hours.
Yeah,
in.
so I would say, I think it would be tough to do it, but I think at launch we get a surprise Spider-Man 2.
That'd be cool.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I think
would
we
That
get a
E3
surprise
is gonna be
Spider-Man
wild,
2.
dude.
I concur with that. But that's not gonna be mine. But I agree that would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
A Resident Evil 8 that goes back to that. It has the quality gameplay of the remake of Resident Evil 2, but it also goes back into the wacky, insane, stupid story.
Yes.
Resident Evil 8.
Resident Evil. Cool. I'm gonna maybe steal one of yours. I don't know, Caleb.
I already know what he's going to say.
So,
Yes, you did.
a Kingdom Hearts
Yes,
game.
that was my next one. Okay.
I don't know what it. I don't just like quickly. I don't think we're getting Kingdom Hearts 4 until
No.
at least one more Kingdom Hearts
It
game
would
comes out.
if it's
but-
at launch, it would have to be a spin-off.
Yeah, but any Kingdom Hearts game that runs with the action RPG
Mhm.
combat is still a mainline Kingdom Hearts game.
Yeah.
So I don't really care.
And I also think
Kingdom Hearts, give it to me.
I also think, keeping this short, I also think Square wants to not repeat the long hiatuses
Yeah.
that they've had in the past. So.
I think Nomura's already said that like
Yeah.
we're like it's not gonna be as long
Yeah.
this time around.
So, going off that, quickly thinking, I think we're getting I think it's pretty much all but confirmed at this point, and I think this is pretty much it's going to happen, especially at launch. We're
Yeah.
going to get Arkham. We're going to get another Arkham.
Yeah.
Another Arkham game. But
Yeah.
I thought they were done with Arkham.
I thought they were done, but there's been a lot. Well, actually, they developed a game and then canceled it. So, they canceled it and started a new project.
Yeah.
That's been pretty much
So
sad.
this is the we talked about this a little while ago. This isn't going to be my third one. I'm just going to mention that Harry Potter game that got leaked.
Yeah, that's gonna be a
Oh
launch
yeah,
title.
yeah. That's
Which
different.
we got to think about that.
I got my third one. Okay.
I'm also okay. So I have my last 2, but before I say that, I'm gonna just preface saying I'm not gonna do the obvious ones by saying Halo because we already know Halo's
Yeah.
gonna be a launch title. That and I'm not gonna do the stuff like saying Gear 6 because we know that's
Yeah.
gonna be happening.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do ones that like we don't know are gonna be
Yeah.
happening. Because like same like
I think that's what that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like we're all doing that.
so like I wouldn't be surprised if another Infamous happens or
Yeah.
something like that. The ones that I'm gonna say first one, Alan Wake 2.
That's a pretty.
I would love an Xbox launch title.
That's a pipe dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love an Alan Wake 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Give it to us.
Give it to us, please. The first one is so good. Please play it. It's a cult classic. It's such a great game. Also, remaster it on PS5. Maybe to get some hype. Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Kill him.
Yeah, what's your number 1?
Yeah, my number 1 is Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance.
I was literally about to just say that for my number 1. Oh.
Yeah, no, I just for Sawyer's sake more than anything.
Yeah,
I mean,
want that so much.
I will-
please.
I think the Platinum Games should get another shot at Metal Gear, and I think if Kojima's not gonna produce Metal Gear anymore, I think Platinum should just run with doing Raiden games.
Yeah.
Just
If the
keep
Solid
going.
series is over, just give because Konami has nothing to do with it. Just give Platinum Raiden and keep doing Metal Gear Rising games.
Yeah,
It
just
works.
do it. Rules of nature.
Okay, I gotta figure out what's number 1 now. That was gonna be my number 1.
So okay. This one is one of those titles that I think is going to happen. Like, it's pretty much confirmed again.
Okay.
but we don't know if it's actually going to happen at launch. I think it is. We're getting Elder Scrolls 6.
Ooh,
I
interesting.
think it's going to be a little while,
Yeah,
but
but
I know
we-
it's going to happen.
We didn't. So yeah, I mean, we know it's been announced.
Yes.
Like we know it's happening.
Been announced for a couple of years now.
I was expecting like a full blown Elder Scrolls 6 trailer at E3. We didn't get one. So. I don't
But
know.
here's the thing, though. You say that, but also you said the same thing with Final Fantasy VII, and look at where we're at now. You said the exact same thing.
Well, to be fair, I never saw Final Fantasy VII Remake coming out in 2020 happening.
Yeah.
I was like, this game is like...
It's like 3 years
I was
away.
like, this game could come out this year. This game could come out next year. But I was like, we're lucky if we get it by 2021. So, I don't know. A broken clock is right twice a day in my situation. So,
And
yeah.
so my number one, since you took Metal Gear Rising 2, is a tie between, and now granted I know these are both bound to happen because they're major franchises,
Yeah.
Right.
but I think it would technically be called, I don't know what to call it, either God of War 5 or God of War 2, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
God of War Second Son.
God of War 6. Like, it's basically...
He has another kid.
That's actually a legitimate title that could happen.
Yeah. It's going to be the sequel to the 2018 God of War.
Do you
Yeah.
think they'll still keep with Norse mythology? Or
I
do you
think they'll
they go
keep
on
with
to
Norse.
something?
I think they do it by trilogy.
If they ever break away from Norse mythology, the first thing I want them to do is King Arthur.
I want them to
I will be on board for God of War with King Arthur.
I want them to do Egypt.
I was
Oh,
just
that'd
about
be-
to say
that'd be pretty
Egypt,
cool, too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or,
I also think Native American lore would be interesting too.
yeah, it would
Oh,
be
interesting.
interesting.
There's a lot of legends that you can pull from.
Yeah. But I think
Chinese mythology.
Chinese
That-
mythology would be interesting.
That would be
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah.
But I think if they do anything, because they did in God of War 2018, slight
Yeah.
spoilers, when they got one of the side missions.
Hold on one second.
Wait, have you played it?
Not yet.
Oh, okay,
I'm
never
about
mind
to,
then,
though.
never
I
mind.
bought the game.
Okay, so I won't say anything yet. I won't say anything.
okay.
But either God of War sequel or Uncharted 5. Lost Legacy doesn't count. So
Ooh.
yeah.
Developed by Naughty Dog or no?
Yeah, if it's not Naughty Dog, I don't want it.
Yeah. I want an Uncharted 5.
Starring
I
a
also-
new character or no?
It's a pipe dream, just another Nathan Drake Uncharted.
I-
Not gonna
yeah.
happen, but yeah.
Here's my thing. I love the Uncharted series.
And 4 had
Uh,
such a good ending.
4 had a great ending.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm...
That's my thing. Is I'm like, that's why I say God of War first, because I'm like, Uncharted is so great, but at the same time, 4 was a perfect ending for him. That, like, I don't want another one.
and it's like, I love the characters in the game. I don't want a spin-off game. I mean, I
They already
actually
did that
really,
with Lost Legacy.
Yeah, I actually haven't played Lost Legacy, but I wanted to play it. I liked Chloe. If anybody,
If
that would
anybody
have been
Chloe,
I wanted.
yeah.
That was the person that
That
I
would be
wanted
the
to
one.
get a spin-off. But
Well,
in terms of the other characters, I don't really.
I wouldn't be
attach
surprised
with
if we get another one, considering they've got that movie in development.
I was just about to bring that up. Maybe it's a prequel.
Yeah, they do a Nathan Drake Origins.
Yeah.
Because how many games have had that? Also, speaking of ones that are inevitable, we're gonna get another Assassin's Creed game.
Another Assassin.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed is gonna be one of those. It's gonna be like Black Flag was for. Give me Pirates of the Assassin's Creed 2.
That
Do it.
That Ubisoft Pirates game is still in development. Skull and Bones.
Oh lord.
That could be a.
No, we need Assassin's Pirates 3.
It's the exact same game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't even play Black Flag.
Oh,
I just want Assassin's Creed Pirates.
I would just say this. I think that if they did do an Assassin's Creed game, the next thing I want from Assassin's Creed is something to where... Now, I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this one.
I get that internet hate.
I think the Assassin's Creed games, in order to move forward, they have to at least address more of what's actually going on in the present.
Yeah. They need to.
Because it's actually kind of taken me away from the series a little bit.
Same.
Because it's like you put all this attention in the lore and you actually set yourself up with cliffhangers and then just never address it. And
Yeah.
for the games that take place in the present day, years have gone by now, and what's going on.
We haven't addressed that.
Yeah, I mean they have, but so slightly, just so slightly, that it's
Yeah.
just like, where,
What's going on?
And-
nobody's moving, nobody's doing
Yeah.
actions, you
Yeah.
know.
And you gotta bring the hood back, man.
Gotta bring that back.
Yeah,
Also,
you
like
give me a new Splinter Cell game, like a real Splinter Cell game. And with that, also, Konami, if you remade the original two, and I mean like MSX Metal Gear games,
ooh,
I would be okay with that
like
because
kind of Final Fantasy VII remakes.
yes, because those games were like, I mean, they're very basic by today's standards, but the stories still overall tie into the grand canon. If they remade those without Kojima, I wouldn't be that upset because there's a very basic template there.
Yeah.
I don't want them remaking Metal Gear Solid 1. But
I want them.
if they remastered Twin Snakes for Switch, I'd be down with that.
Yeah, I'd be
But-
okay with like remastering the Metal Gear franchise, but don't do a Final Fantasy VII remake of all the Metal Gear.
Like,
games.
you could-
It's not gonna work out well.
A Metal Gear Legacy Collection for PS5 with all of them remastered, that I'm
Be
down
pretty
with. I do not want remakes, but a remaster would be fine. However, I do want remakes of the original 80s
MSX. games.
MSX games.
I'm going to throw one last thing. Give me an open world Mega Man X game. Do it, Capcom. I believe in you. Don't let me down. With that, Sawyer. Actually, first, Caleb. Thanks for coming on.
Yes.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thanks for joining the team.
Your
and,
inaugural episode as an
yes.
official member.
Yes, I'm. We are happy to have you. Hope that this.
It's all good.
This
I'm
is a
excited.
fruitful
It's gonna be
endeavor.
fun.
You get to have your slow descent into madness on the
Yes.
show.
You will slowly find out that none of us are prepared.
No,
We
you'll
might
also
sound
find out
prepared.
that this is all randomly prepared 5 minutes before we
Yes.
start recording.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
You
it
think-
always...
You think I have a plan? I don't. I do this off the cuff.
Hey, if there's anything, EA or Star Wars will give us something to rant about on
Yes.
Oh yeah.
There'll
be something new next week, guaranteed.
1 week we'll all have just been like in a coma for a week, and we'll wake up and we'll just be like, all right, we have to record the podcast. All right, we're just doing an entire episode about Star Wars.
Before, well, we gotta get it in while we can before we get taken down by the Chinese government. So we gotta get all-
They're watching. we're gonna get so sued.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this was quite the chaotic episode.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for listening for
Yeah.
2 hours 15 minutes.
If you still are.
We are still thinking about ways we can streamline the listening process a little bit. So if you want to listen in half-hour bites, you can instead of a 2-hour gargantuan mega burger. Sawyer, can you rattle off the social medias for us?
So you can find us at Castkate, at CASTCATE on Twitter because of our old handle. But you can find us just by searching the Lab Rats Entertainment Podcast on Twitter. And we are at the Lab Rats Podcast on Instagram. We do not have a Facebook because no one uses Facebook.
That's funny because that's the only one I do use.
Well, yeah. That we have okay. Apologize, Facebook users. I just don't want. I don't want China taking my Facebook data. So
I like how now we're all just paranoid about China. Like, they're gonna come for us.
you can find our podcast on wherever you're listening now, as well as Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts / Google Play Music, whatever it's called, YouTube, and Stitcher.
That's it.
I think
We're
that's
good.
everything.
Yeah, we're good. It's 6.
Yeah.
It's if you rattle off 6, it's 6.
And
So we're good.
if I didn't repeat myself, there's 6. And if there's any place you would like us to be that we are not currently on that platform that is easier for you, let us know as long as it's free.
as
As long as it's free.
Well, we will.
All right, yeah. We'll be
get that-
back next week.
hopefully
We have
with a mod.
we hopefully with a mod and a special guest.
Yeah.
We can never predict these things correctly though. So you might
Yeah.
tune in next week and it'll just be us 3.
It'll
again.
just be a whole new
Yeah.
cast.
Yeah.
Whole new cast doing it, you know?
Yeah.
Whole new cast.
An entire new cast. Yeah. I almost like that idea of just like replacing
Just
me.
randomly doing
just
it.
like all of us get replaced by just random people
And
we
they're
know.
trying to play us.
Not
like,
us.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're
Well.
doing our like Ezra Sawyer and Caleb impression. Yeah,
If we're
with
not
that,
back next week, blame China.
yeah, China. Yeah, just if you can't find somebody to blame for anything, just blame China.
I mean,
It's a good way to get you killed, but
It's a
you
good
know.
way.
Yeah. All right. With that, thanks
With
for
that,
listening.
Don't hate us.
Don't hate us. Don't
Yes.
kill us, China, please.
I don't even just referring to China. I'm just talking about people who are going to be offended by that.
Yeah.
Don't hate us,
Don't hate
please.
us. We mostly hate the government. In any case, with that, bye.
Bye.
Bye.